Pazuru and welcome to my channel where I investigate things spooky, mysterious, cryptic, or morbid. Today on the channel we'll be looking into Jack the Ripper, and today we have a very special guest, my friend Kat.
Hello.
Yeah, she's right there in the corner. You can see her. She's big enough for y'all to understand that's her.
Meow.
Yeah, but before we get into all the little details, please like and subscribe. The Whitechapel district of London, England in 1888 was actually literally shit. Whitechapel had a reputation for severe poverty, overcrowding, and a load of social problems that came along with all of that. And with these problems, people tended to resort to petty theft and prostitution as means to survive. And to add to all of that, the streets were dimly lit by gas lamps, and the area was known to get very, very foggy, leading up to the area being like the perfect place to commit a perfect murder, or well, murders, as this would be a breeding ground for one of the most well-known serial killers who still lives in the public imagination to this very day, Jack the Ripper. I can't stop giggling.
I had to not. I tried so hard.
This is so
I
bad.
don't think the Ripper is funny. It's just London is kind of hilarious itself.
Yeah,
right?
London itself is what's getting me to laugh right now.
Like, they have poop in the streets.
Yeah, no.
Which isn't much different from, like, California.
Honestly, it isn't. No, it's not that much different from, like, the United States in general, let's be honest. We could go to New York right now and find some shit too.
Honestly.
It's so good here. It's good here, yeah.
Do you want to tell us about Whitechapel?
I mean, the Whitechapel district of London was in the East End of London from what I read, and it was basically like a place where business owners would set up shops and stuff like that, but never actually lived there because it was so shit.
Oh, like any downtown area, pretty much. Yeah,
it's basically, it's like near the heart of like the city of London, because the city of London does eventually get involved in this, so they're like right next to each other. Like the heart of London and then Whitechapel are like super close. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a little walk away, because this guy gets up to a lot in one night at one point.
Up to no good.
Up to no good. A real rapscallion, if may I say. Anyways, Whitechapel had over 12 killings in the area between 1888 and 1892, and 5 of these murders were confirmed to be done by one person. The 5 murders were done between August and November of 1888, and these were all believed to have been done by the infamous Jack the Ripper. I wrote Jack the Killer because I keep wanting to write Jeff the Killer when I'm doing this. I'm like staring at it now.
Yeah, no, my brain didn't even acknowledge that it said killer. But like,
I saw it and I was like, God damn it, because I kept wanting to write Jeff the Killer instead of Jeff
the Killer, who is also infamous.
Yeah, also infamous, but
you should talk about him sometime.
Yeah, totally. That should definitely happen. On God. That'd be interesting. I go on the creepypasta route instead.
Yeah, so if the rest of this video contains Jeff the Killer, everybody just know it's
if
Jeff
I ever say
Ripper.
Jeff the Killer, please forgive me. I might do.
Forgiven. Kami-sama.
Kami-sama. So the 5 confirmed victims of Jack the Ripper are also known as the Canonical 5, and in order of how they were murdered, they were Mary Ann Nicholas, who was murdered on August 31st, 1888, Annie Chapman, who was murdered on September 8th, 1888, Elizabeth Stride, who was murdered on September 30th, 1888, Catherine Eddowes, who was also murdered on September 30th, 1888, and finally we have Mary Jane Kelly, who was murdered on November 9th, 1888.
Wow. Lots of fall, like November.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. His killings are very much at the end of the year. Yeah.
Getting those pumpkin spice lattes going out.
I don't think they had pumpkin spice lattes back
not.
then. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know.
I wasn't going anywhere with that, so let's just
yeah. I like how that's what you thought about instead of like 5 women getting murdered, you know?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah. We're the worst people.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, well, the reason that these women were murdered, police assume, was because they were all prostitutes who were soliciting work on the street, making them easy targets to get close to. And these women also knew, like, the most private areas on the streets to, you know, commit the deed. That it essentially made the victim the person who picked the perfect spot to commit the perfect murder. So yeah, it's assumed that the victims were prostitutes for the reason that they knew exactly where to go to not be caught.
I mean, that's so interesting to me, like, when I learned of that detail. Like, that's kind of intelligent.
Big brain.
But it's also, like, I just think that for lots of reasons, sex workers are chosen. They're kind of, like, usually...
Oh, yeah.
Frowned upon and, you know, considered but like that is like, I guess, a bonus if you are Jack the Ripper. You're like seeking that.
Yeah. I mean, but on top of that, I feel like prostitutes during this time were like so many. Like there were so many of them that I don't think it was that frowned upon, to be honest. Like I think it was only frowned upon by like certain people because like it seems to be a very popular choice of work in the area at the time.
Well, yeah, but as far as like human life and the matter of people caring, right? You know?
I mean, no. It's these people definitely were people who did not have the best livelihoods going on for them at the time, because they were all working as prostitutes just to be able to pay for a bed for the night, for the most part. One of them actually did have a room, but she had to pay rent on it and all that other stuff.
Was that Stride?
It was the last one. It was the last one.
I'll let you get there. Okay.
Yeah. She was the one that ended up actually having a bedroom where she would bring people back to. The rest of them paid for lodging in lodging houses.
So wild.
Yeah.
Cannot fathom.
But I mean, in the end, it's like a pretty, like, if you're gonna commit, like, a murder, it's pretty smart to pick a person who knows exactly where, like, the perfect place, like, the most private place would be, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
So
in the end.
He doesn't have the brain rot. He's not experiencing the big dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, and then on top of everything else, like, the fact that, like, it was dimly lit and foggy and all that nice stuff, I mean... Yeah, perfect breathing ground, especially because I've noticed that if you really want to, like, commit a perfect crime, apparently, you have to do it when, like, the area you're in is in, like, a shitty spot, you know, financially and all that other stuff.
Well, and the time of the year that, like, these murders happen, like, September, November, these are, like, it's getting darker earlier out.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But our boy was up to no good for, like, so many hours of the night. Too. Like, this guy was not sleeping.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is, like, just a perfect breeding ground for him to get away with shit.
Yeah, tell us about it.
So the reason the police actually deduced that they had all been killed by one person is because all the victims were of a specific profession, and they all had their throats cut open. And on top of this, most of the bodies had been mutilated in such a way that would suggest knowledge of human anatomy. So that would all, like, point to one very specific person being the killer.
The MO being like, consistent.
Yeah, the MO is very consistent.
Back when, like, serial killers weren't really on the forefront of society's mind. Or, like, not too prevalent.
Well, the thing is, so this is the first documented serial killer, like, one of the first ones. Right. Because the idea of, like, a serial murderer wasn't really a thing by then, because they didn't really... Because before that, they didn't really have, like, all the medical science and, I guess, information they would need to deduce if one person had killed somebody or if multiple different murders had just, like, happened, you know? Which is why he's famous.
Like, yeah, or, like, the processing of the crime scenes. Like, imagine just, like, people just walking around the
Oh yeah.
the spot, the area. Like,
No,
evidence?
yeah.
Hello? No?
They can't, I mean, they don't have like the type of forensics that we have today, and they were just like really starting to get more on top of it, that they were able to like deduce that it was one killer, unlike before where it was just much harder to do. So that's why Jack the Ripper is famous. It's because he was like one of the first really documented serial murderers. So yeah, that's what he was, that's his claim to fame, really. Because he's not at all the worst of the serial killers out there.
No, but he is definitely gruesome in his
Very
own way.
gruesome, but it definitely not as bad as we could get. I mean, I've learned through my other videos that they can get much worse than this.
Yeah, well, and think about like the time, the era. There's no
Oh, yeah.
news on. There's no radio. You know, you're hearing
Oh, yeah.
everything word of mouth or posters.
Oh yeah, no, it's the news. It's like giving you all the information and then word of mouth. And then, oh, on top of all of that, all these people are drunk constantly. Everybody's drunk at this time period.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about the sex workers, but yeah, no, seriously.
No,
everybody.
not the sex workers. It's everybody.
Yeah, like,
Everybody's
probably
getting drunk.
Even the police, you know.
Yeah, everyone's at the pub during this time. That I've learned that through my research of this. They're all going to the pubs. They're all drunk. They all can't give like a consistent story, honestly, at points in times. So like, just like, yeah, nightlife was a thing back then. People were doing shit at all hours of the day, and mostly all of them seemed to be at the pub.
Like literal shit, like how your opening statement, London, 1888.
Oh yeah, no, it's like a shithole. It's literally
Yeah.
a shithole. These people had like they had no money, no jobs. Like they were doing the best that they could to get by. Like these murders are actually what made the upper society of Victoria and London to actually realize how shit the conditions were in these lower income areas.
I feel like we're just talking shit about London right now, which I'm still on board with. So
I
pop off.
mean, it's not my fault that all the research I found on Whitechapel, London, was that it was a shithole in 1888.
I'm
It's not my
sure
fault.
It's much nicer now. Like,
Oh
I mean,
no, it cleaned
looks
up. It
much
cleaned up.
nicer,
They
yeah.
said it cleaned up. They said they got
Yeah,
it
yeah.
cleaned up. It's much better now, but like back then, I mean, it sounds like it was just one big shithole. And
Honestly, I mean, I think that's the perfect environment for creating this crime spree. For this.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, at the time, there were so many immigrants coming in to England from, like, Poland, in particular, I believe. But I think, just all around, like, all over Europe, there was just immigrants coming in all the time. And they were coming in, like, expecting jobs and, like, to get somewhere. Because Victorian England, it's going through, like, a period of, like, innovations, I guess.
Yeah.
And they get there and then they, like, learn, like, oh, this shit sucks.
Cred hole. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So it's like even worse because they have so many people immigrating and then like there's already no jobs and like nothing to really do to earn money. That like once they get there, it's like, oh, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, continuing on with the script, we're gonna start our story on April 3rd of 1888. We're at around 1:30 a.m. and Emma, why am I saying Elizabeth? Emma Smith, a local prostitute, was supposedly assaulted by a local gang. At around 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. that same day, Emma finally was able to return to her lodging house on 18th George Street in an injured state, and this caused her fellow lodgers to rush her to the London hospital, where she later died of her injuries. And the doctors at the hospital noted that even though she had been drinking, she didn't seem to be outright drunk, and had stated that she had been assaulted by a gang while she was still alive. So because of this, it's widely believed that by even police that it had been a gang that had killed her rather than a solo killer. And by April 7th, 1888, the court would decide that this was a murder and it would be the first official murder in Whitechapel.
Okay, so this is unrelated to Ripper.
Yes, this is
Okay.
unrelated to Ripper, but it is the first murder in Whitechapel, at least by the deeming of the court, because the court has to decide whether or not something is a murder or not at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Notable.
the court had decided that this woman had been killed by someone else.
Murder.
Yeah, they had decided it was a murder, and that this was the first official murder in Whitechapel. So, I mean, it just sets up that, like, people are already kind of, like, dying.
Yeah.
It's already going into a bad
They
pathway.
got the ball rolling. Yeah.
Yeah, basically they got the ball rolling.
Like-
People do suspect that maybe, it hadn't been a gang and she had been very drunk and it had been Jack the Ripper. Like, people want to say it's Jack the Ripper related, but I don't think so.
Like, timing wise, like, he tried in the spring and then, like,
Yeah.
you know, got a little taste, I guess, or
Yeah.
something. But
I don't know. I had like a pot theory. Maybe he was part of the gang and then like he got like a taste for
that's what I
killing.
was thinking.
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
said that, I was like, wait, is she about to tell me that he was like maybe in this gang? But then like the other gang, like, did they catch these people or are they just unknown? A group
I
of
don't
people?
think they got caught because I think gang activity in the area was actually very popular, but I don't think they got caught or anything like that. Because it eventually noted that the police believed that the other killings weren't by the gangs because after they caught wind that like they had been ruled as a murder, they decided to like lay low or something like that.
Right.
Something along
So,
those
like,
lines.
they're struggling to catch like a group of people murdering one person, and so it seems like this is going to be kind of the story here. Just they're going to struggle.
Oh yeah, no. It sounds like they're struggling a bit. I mean, I guess I don't even think there was many witnesses to like the crime or anything like that. I don't know. It seemed like a weird like one-off situation, but you know. Yeah. Anyways, on that same day, so April 7th. Yeah, so April 7th, not the same day the woman was killed, but the day that they deemed the first murder. Martha Tabram, I think you pronounce it, who was another prostitute, would also be found stabbed to death on a landing in George Yard buildings. Wow. So police would start to look into what happened before Martha's murder, and they learned that she had met up with a fellow prostitute named Mary Ann Connolly, who also went by the name Pearly Pole. And that they had went drinking together. Unfortunately, since it seemed the two girls got drunk together that night, Pearly Pole would not be able to give a consistent account as to what happened that night. So she was kind of given different accountings of like what happened that night because she couldn't really remember because she was drunk.
Yeah.
However, other eyewitnesses stated that they spotted Martha heading into the pub with her sister-in-law, Ann Morris, at 11 p.m., so investigators assumed that Martha had met Pearly Pole in the pub. And
a username.
Yeah, that's such a that's such a username.
I just gotta get it out.
Honestly, when I read that username, I also was like, that's a name. I want to know what it means.
She get it.
Yeah, I want to know what it means. You know, I
educated guess.
According to like other eyewitness statements, they described Pearly Pole to be a manly-looking woman, and I was like, that's mean.
Man, wow. Okay, all right. Well, for a country or an area where everyone is drunk and drinking, how would they know? All right, leave Pearly alone.
Yeah,
okay?
leave Pearly alone. God damn.
I stand this.
My
Pearly.
girl.
Let's go.
My girl just wants to get drunk. She wants to get drunk and make ends meet in her life, bro. So after whatever went down that night, Martha would be found with 39 stab wounds going from her neck to her lower abdomen. Doctors would note that the wounds were made up of two different weapons, one which seemed to be an ordinary knife and another one which seemed to be either a sword bayonet or a dagger, so the second one was obviously like a larger wound. People remain unsure if this was done by the infamous Jack the Ripper or if it was unrelated. People are still not sure.
Seems really aggressive.
Very aggressive. Very.
But in comparison to, like, the other killings were also fairly aggressive.
Oh yeah, no, this one was way less aggressive than the other killings, but still, this one's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, the act of like stabbing with not just one but two sharp objects.
Yeah.
Anger.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway. On August 31st, 1888, at around 3:30 a.m., our first confirmed Jack the Ripper victim was found on Bucks Row in Whitechapel. Mary Ann Nichols. Oh, why can't I read? Charles Cross was on his way back from work when he saw what looked like a dark bundle lying on the street. And when he approached it, he realized that it was actually the body of a woman who was either dead or drunk. Like, there was no in between here. He soon heard footsteps and called over the other person to look at the woman, and this person, whose name was Robert Paul, and Cross both looked at the woman before Cross reached out to touch her face before saying, "I believe she is dead." Paul decided to put his hand on the woman's chest and stated, "I think she's breathing, but very little if she is." And Paul suggested that they should sit the woman up, but Cross was against touching the woman again. Then they both decided that they did what they could to help, and they pulled her skirt down to her knees to cover her decency before setting off to work again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The evidence. Okay.
Yeah. And they did, however, agree to tell the first policemen they saw on the way back to their respective employments. So, I mean, at least they chose to do that.
But with the initial, like, not wanting to touch her again, he was, like, on the right track, and then, boom, like, modesty for modesty's sake.
They were like, damn, you can't be showing your ankles, my lady.
Girl, get it together.
What neither man noticed was that her throat was cut so severely that it was almost cut off due to how dark it was on the street that night.
So spooky. I'm spooked.
Yeah. It was just so dark on that street. They did not notice the blood oozing out of her neck.
Imagine. I can't. Like, that's literal nightmares.
Yeah, that's just so spooky when you think about it. So, shortly after they left the scene, a police constable named John Neal proceeded to walk down Bucks Row. Neal, with the help of his lamp, because they carried like a little lamp with them, noticed that there was blood oozing from her neck. Eventually, Neal noticed another police constable at the end of the street, and he basically told them to run and get a doctor. And then another police constable named Mizzen later arrives at the scene because he was alerted by Cross and Paul. Neal sent Mizzen to get reinforcements and to fetch a police ambulance. Finally, at 4 a.m., Dr. Lenwellen, I don't know how to say that, I'm not even going to try, arrived at the scene and examined the body, determining that the victim was dead for about a half an hour now, meaning that the murder was still probably in the area when Charles Cross found her.
So, is that meaning to say that she was definitely dead when they found her body, or like she was on the edge?
So basically, they found her at I think 3:30, and at 4 a.m. the doctor finally had arrived, and he had pronounced her dead for about a half an hour. So she was like basically like dying at that exact moment when they found her.
Yeah, so she's probably still warm and
yeah, she would have been still warm. I think according to one of their recounts, I think it was whoever touched her arm. I think it was Robert may have touched her chest or her arm or something, like one of them did. Anyways, one of them touched her arm, and they had decided that the farther away you went from the torso, that it was colder than the closer. So she was dying. Yeah. She was basically dead by the time they saw her. Yeah, and the blood loss probably, like, it's not in her arms anymore. That would make sense. Yeah. Once the blood stops circulating, your limbs are the first to go cold.
Yeah. Spooky. Okay.
Yeah. So that was the first murder. I'm gonna move on to the second one now. Or wait, no, not the second one. I think we have a little bit more information. So from,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. Okay, so from September 1st to September 4th, 1888, police questioned other prostitutes in the area, and they learned about a person, the prostitutes called Leather Apron, who was a Polish Jew that had been extorting them for money for about a year now. And because of this information, the Star newspaper publishes a story on Leather Apron, which caused anti-Semitism to fire up in the district.
So not fun.
Yeah, very not fun. Especially because I think there was a lot of Jewish people in the area during this time.
Yeah.
Polish
That,
Jewish.
yeah, that whole sentiment is just also literal shit, just like the London in this era.
Yeah, no, London in this area is, like, literally on, like, pins and needles. I don't know. Their foundation of their household here is literal, like, popsicle sticks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're not doing well.
And everyone's drunk. So you can't really, you know.
Yeah, everyone's a bit drunk, you know?
Yeah, even probably the police. You know what? I shouldn't say that, but I don't. Who knows? Maybe.
Oh no. During the recounts of Polly, she had mentioned that there was like either police or like army members that were at the bar with them. She said that there was like 2 of them that came up and like introduced themselves. So she had noted that there was actually like somebody. Yeah, there was somebody there, like somebody of a higher authority than just like a normal civilian. Yeah. So they're probably drunk too. I wouldn't doubt it.
Amazing.
Yeah. But by September 8th, another body had popped up. So at 6 a.m., Annie Chapman, the second confirmed victim of Jack the Ripper, is found in the backyard of 29th Hanbury Street by a resident of 29th Hanbury Street. Anne was also a prostitute, and she did not have money for lodging that night. So she had gone out to get money for a bed at around 1:35 a.m. And then a Miss Elizabeth Long saw Anne Chapman on Hanbury Street speaking to a man. And by 6 a.m., her mutilated corpse was found by a John Davis, who again is a resident of 29th Hanbury Street. So that's where she was murdered. Her clothes had been pulled above her waist, and her hands and face were covered in blood, and her hands had been like raised in such a way that would give the impression that she had actually been fighting for her life.
Which is different probably to the first one.
Yeah, I think this girl actually tried to put up a fight before she was murdered.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if she's looking for a room and everything, and she just spent like so much effort trying to get money for it, she's probably pretty on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is also the murder where I think when she was getting murdered, it was like by a fence. I think there was a fence, and I think what happened was somebody had been on the other side of the fence. And they had been doing something. I forget what. I think they were going to the bathroom or something. And they had heard a thud against the fence, but chose to, like, just write it off and continue on with their way.
Yeah, it could have been a cat, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
I would get freaked out, but then I'd be like, oh, it's like an animal or a drunk person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think somebody's first thought is like, oh, somebody's getting murdered. You know?
Yeah.
Especially because, like, again, I don't think murder had been too common at the time. Because, like, again, it just started up, according to the court, at 1888, so that year.
Yeah.
And, like, nobody knew there was a serial killer on the loose at that point. So, yeah.
Except for the serial killer himself.
Except for whoever did it. They're the only person that acknowledged that they were going
I'm making big brain connections here.
Yeah, they had the insider knowledge, you know? The inside scoop.
Oh no, let's not say scoop.
Oh god.
The inside stat. No. Okay.
Stop. Stop.
Yep.
I didn't actually mention what organs got I'm gonna be honest here, like right now. I didn't mention which organs got stolen from which victims. And I just did that because I couldn't really, like, find a concise definition of what organs got stolen from who.
Am I wrong to think that he stole organs or took organs from the later victims and the early ones not so much, like not yet?
Yeah, I think it later he got more brazen with it and started stealing organs. I think it was later, but I didn't look too much into it. I do know that they were horribly, all of them were horribly mutilated though.
Was it this victim, the one who made the thud against the fence, or the first victim where her pockets were like outturned and her stuff was like by her foot? I vaguely remember.
I think it was
some detail like that.
I think that was the first one.
Yeah, so like that was kind of odd, right? But like maybe he didn't take anything else from her that we know of.
I don't. I think like the stealing of the organs happened a little after that, but I'm not sure when exactly they started up because I did not want to look too into it. If I'm being honest, I was like, I don't know. I don't want to know.
It was
I do know there was like wombs stolen in particular. I think yeah,
and a liver,
kidneys,
kidney. Oh, yeah.
It was kidneys,
but it was he wrote some letters.
Yeah, he did write some letters. We'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but he did steal organs. I didn't write exactly when he started stealing organs or anything like that, but I feel like I should mention he does eventually steal organs, just so we're all on the same page.
Little creeper.
Yeah, he's onto something, doing something. I don't know. Anyway.
I lost our spot. I don't know where we're at.
I know where we are. It's okay.
Okay.
So on September 10th, 1888, a local businessman named Mr. George Lusk decided to form a committee called the Mile End Vigilance Committee to try and assist the police in finding the murderer. And on that same day, John Pazuru, who police believed was Leather Apron, is arrested. He, however, has 2 alibis for the 2 recent murders and was released as a result of that. So it wasn't John Pazuru. It wasn't Leather Apron from what we can put together. Yeah.
He was just, his apron was dirty. He was trying to just do his diligence and get it clean. And then they were like, you're our guy.
I mean,
and I wonder
if
they like interrogated him, like tortured him, because police back then were kind of trash. I
mean, it seems like they got him in and out pretty quickly from what I was reading. I don't think they had enough time to do some good torture in there.
Yeah, I mean, they really just had an apron. Like, that's...
Well, the thing is, they didn't even have an apron. What happened was, the prostitutes like to call him Leather Apron. Because...
Oh.
I'm guessing maybe he was like a butcher or something like that. He had a leather apron. But,
right.
The thing was, he was extorting the prostitutes for money.
Oh.
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier, but I don't think you might not have got it. Yeah, he liked to use prostitutes to get himself money. So, personally, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense that he just starts murdering his profit pool, you know?
Yeah, but then also for the police to just be like, oh, you're just extorting these women? Yeah, you be on your way. Like, excuse you?
I mean, okay. I guess they had a bigger issue.
Yeah,
I guess. Like, they had some bigger issues starting to boil in there. I think extorting women for their money was the last of their problems at that point.
Good God.
I guess. I mean, yeah, I totally agree they should have kept him in jail, but they let him go.
I hate history sometimes.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, history kind of sucks sometimes, I'm gonna be honest. But, you know, it does make sense that it wasn't him to me because, like, again, that's his profit.
No,
that's his profit pool. I don't think you'd just be murdering the people that give you money.
Unless the theory here is you're, like, trying to entice fear. But, like, you wouldn't murder. You would maybe, like...
beat him up a bit.
Beat him a little bit just to scare and, like, have that one lady go and say, like, oh, he's real serious, like, look at this black eye or something, you know? Like, you don't... Yeah. And I feel like these women were not murdered accidentally whatsoever, so that's not even...
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think it was him. So, continuing on... then on September 27th, a letter was sent to the Central News Agency, and it was addressed to the boss, and it was signed by Jack the Ripper, which is where the infamous name comes from. I'm going to go back to that letter later because it does become prevalent later on, so we're not going to read it now. But another body was found on September 30th, 1888 at 1 a.m., and this body was the body of Elizabeth Stride, and it was found on Bernier Street, whatever. Elizabeth had spent the last afternoon of her life cleaning rooms at the lodging house on 32nd Flower and Dean Street, and then went to the Queen's Head's pub, which is an interesting name for a pub, Queen's Head.
Cute.
I love that for them.
How very cutesy. How very demure.
Yeah, very demure. She went to the pub at around 6:30 p.m. and she returned to the lodging house at around 7 p.m. before heading out again. And at around 11 p.m., she was seen with a man by two men, and then was spotted again by another man with another man at around 11 p.m. So lots of men in this equation. But yeah, so first she was spotted with a man by two men, and then again by another man with a man.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of men in this equation. Yeah. Anyways, after this, a storekeeper claims he sold her and the man that she was with grapes in between 11:45 p.m. to midnight. And at around 12:30 a.m., a police constable also spotted Elizabeth with a man standing outside of Dutfield's yard on Berber Street. I think that's supposed to be Bernier Street. Bernier, the street that she was found on. I think I spelled that wrong. But anyways, I think it's Bernier Street. Yeah, so she was found on that street that she was murdered on. By a police constable, and she was with that man still. So she had been spending like her entire night with a man, according to all these people. But apparently, nobody had seen the man quite close enough to identify the man.
I just googled it. I think it is Berber, but
is it Berber?
I think you got it right.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Okay, well, they make the streets sound too similar.
Because there is a Berber Street in London. That's as far as I can tell you, and I don't know if it's the Whitechapel area or not.
Okay, well, it's one of those two.
Yeah,
whatever.
Curious.
Whatever.
Research. We're not.
Whatever. Sometimes I'm not perfect. Okay, sometimes I be writing these at 3 a.m. in the morning.
You're keeping those ripper hours, eh?
Yeah, I love the ripper hours. Honestly, I think I would thrive in Victorian London just because people are up at all hours of the night.
Oh my god, I would just go outside and go.
Yeah, I would just
do. I would just
Yeah, does that not sound like fun?
Just tap on some windows and be all spooky.
Yeah, so people are just out and about doing shit at 4 a.m. in the morning. There's a place to go at 3 a.m. Does that not sound fun?
Honestly, the activity. There's so much activity here. There's people awake. There's so many people seeing other people.
Yeah.
There's people getting rooms at 1 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, I read somewhere that in Victorian London, they actually had a different kind of sleeping schedule than we did. They instead of taking one long sleep, they would take various naps throughout the day, but they would stay running all day long. So all the shit was open whenever.
And if I could add to, I think that it was common for people to get up in the middle of the night and just be awake for an hour or two and smoke or have a tea or drink a biscuit.
They were living. I feel like we should go back to Victorian London hours. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it right now. I need that for my night owl.
Yeah. No. I mean, I was doing that last night. There was a thunderstorm. I didn't sleep until 3.
Yeah. Let's normalize night owls hours.
I even had tea. Yeah.
See, I need the mall to be open at 3 a.m.
Oh, not the mall. Maybe just the arcade.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, back to Elizabeth. After she was spotted by the police constable, outside of the Field's yard, another man claims that he had seen Elizabeth standing with a man at Fairclough Street at 12:45 a.m. While another man conflictingly claims that he saw Elizabeth being assaulted and thrown on the ground near A different street. It's not that street that I wrote. It was a different street. Anyways, so a bunch of people be saying that they seen things.
Can I try to pronounce this street? Is it Fair Clo?
Yeah. I think I wrote the wrong street name. Wait, I'm gonna pull up my note. I'm gonna pull up my notes because I probably copy and pasted it on accident.
Okay, and while you're doing that, I just want to
go ahead.
Comment on how many. Okay, but think about men and how like little they pay attention to things. There was so many men paying attention to this one female with these other different men, and I'm definitely not slut shaming. Girl, get your bag. But like I wonder if all these men, like, they must have known her personally, you know?
I mean, considering that these people are like working the street,
yeah, and maybe these other men are like business owners in the area. Is that what we're assuming? Or
I'm assuming these are just
drunks.
like random people. Just like random people who are
drunks.
out and about at the night. I don't think they may have been drunks. I think they may have been working, or because like the police constable, for example, I think he was working.
Oh yeah, you're right. There's probably like street cleaners and stuff to take care of the literal shit that we discussed earlier.
Yeah, they're always working at all hours of the night. Like how we mentioned in the first murder that was found by Charles Cross, it was 3:30 a.m. and he was heading to work. And so was the other guy, Robert. He was heading to work as well at 3:30 a.m. So I think people were just constantly like out and about doing stuff. Like there was jobs at all hours of the day that needed to be done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that happened. And then but we did have that conflicting account where two people saw Elizabeth in two different places. And they had two different accounts of what was at the same time. So there's also like the chance that these people are misidentifying people.
Yeah, and it's dark, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes people are drunk, most of the time maybe, and sometimes not. I mean, because we just talked about them working. Like, who's to say that they're not going? They're tying one on and going.
Yeah,
to work.
like I don't stare
would.
at every person that I walk by and like evaluate them. I just kind of walk by. The only one that I'm like questioning is the last account where he saw Elizabeth being assaulted and thrown on the ground. Like, what
yeah.
Like,
which sighting was closer? Do you know which sighting was closer to where her body is?
I think the person who was closest to finding where her body was found. Oh, it's the next one, technically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but lots of men were spotting this woman out and about.
So many.
There's a chance that these sightings may have been misidentified again. Like I said, dark. And like we have two accounts at the same exact time, so who knows? Our last account comes from a Louis Dimschutz because he ends up pulling his cart into Dutfield's yard, which was previously mentioned that they spotted her at, and they found her body there.
Oh, yeah. In the like, fenced area, right?
Yeah. So before we have the two conflicting accounts of where she was at 12:45, a police constable had seen her at 12:30, and that is where her body was found, on that area. Dutfield.
Yeah. If I might.
Yeah. So Dutfield's yard is where she was finally found.
Yeah.
Okay, so continuing onto the same night, at 1:45 a.m., Catherine Eddowes' body was discovered in Meter Square in the city of London. So this is a different district now. So at 1 a.m., when Elizabeth Stride's body was being discovered, Catherine Eddowes was just being released from Bishopsgate Police Station in the city of London.
Our girl is a baddie. I'm sorry. Okay. Continue.
So she wasn't a baddie. She was drunk that night. Technically the previous night, but she was drunk that night. And she was left in a cell to sober up. The police had brought her there to make sure she, like, got her shit together and was able to go back out.
That's nice of them.
Yeah. They did her a solid there, not keeping her on the street.
Yeah, because she probably, didn't have room for, or money for board?
No, she was just very, very drunk, and she was apparently, like, making, like, fire engine noises and stuff like that, or fire noises. Like, she was making... Yeah, she was, like, in the street making like imitating noises of like things that were going around. Yeah. Yeah, she was imitating noises out in the street, very drunk.
I love it.
So she got put in jail for like public indecency or something like that.
Yeah.
So after she was released, she was seen at around 1:35 by 3 men talking to a man. So 3 men had walked by her and they had seen her with another man. And one of the 3 men remember seeing her hand on the man's chest and decided that they were up to no good. She was like, fuck no, and hurried away. He was like, he also made like a comment about like, I don't know, he made like a passing comment about people being up to no good. Like he huffed it out to be like, you know how like people kind of say stuff in their like towards you but not towards you.
Yeah.
He was kind of like these rapscallions.
Yeah.
Out
so
loud.
Was he scared? Like he was scared that something was about to go down, and that's why he scampered off.
I think he just didn't like what was going on. I might add that these 3 men were all religious. They were all Jewish, from what I read. So
okay.
This man may have been very religious and just did not like that, you know.
Yeah, and if there's like anti-Semitism in the area, he probably just wants to stay clear from anything kind of trouble.
Any kind of trouble. But on top of that, I think the first man that of the 3 was just might have been just religious to the point of being like, I want nothing to do with these slutty actions happening here. Because a hand on a man's chest is too much.
Oof.
Back in the day, it is.
Yeah.
And then another one of the men in the group was much less disgusted by the 2 and had actually been able to note some details of the man and of Catherine. He noted the dress that Catherine was wearing and that the man had an appearance of a sailor and looked to be about 30 years old. He also described that the man that Catherine was with was about 5'9", of a medium build with a fair complexion and had a small mustache. So this man actually was able to give a recount of the man that she was with. Like, he was able to give a bit.
Yeah.
Unlike
like
everybody else.
We know.
Yeah, this is like the most anybody has ever looked at a person at this time period, I guess. Because, like, these men are not able to give a description up until now. This is the first description of what could possibly be Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, and that's all we get.
Yeah,
very vague.
Very vague.
But it's
super
more,
vague.
But it's still more.
Oh yeah, it's not enough to like tell who the person was, but it's something.
I mean, how many men must have had mustaches?
Oh, there must have been a lot of men that had that kind of look, because men weren't as tall back in the day, so 5'9" was probably around like the normal height, maybe even a bit taller than normal. Yeah. With like a medium build and a fair complexion, like that's probably all of England. And a little mustache, I mean, like shit. I think we're just describing most of London here.
Yeah. One of our first descriptions of a hipster right here for you.
I mean, it does kind of sound like a hipster.
Yeah, it really does. Okay.
Anyways, finally at 1:45 a.m., Constable Edwards Watkins found Catherine horribly mutilated in Meter Square. This caused the City of London Police to also get involved in the case, as this was their jurisdiction. So now we have 2 police forces on the case.
And is this the 2 murders in one single night?
Yeah, this is the 2 murders in one single night. So basically, her body was found at 1 a.m., and then exactly at 1 a.m., that's when she was getting released, Catherine, and then she got murdered at 1:45. So this happened in a 45-minute time span.
Dang.
Yeah, like, man really got to it.
For real, though. Like,
yeah.
Womp womp.
That's awful.
I'm sorry.
That's awful. Now is not the time to be womp womping.
Listen, okay, yes. That is
Jack the Ripper kind of is a womp womp though, but like these poor women, like I don't know.
Jack is like skibbity toilet.
A skibbity toilet has such like different connotations. It can be cool or good or like bad.
Oh god. Okay, you know what? Listen. It's not. This is gonna not age well.
Yeah, no, it's not.
future. Please forgive
Listen,
me.
I want to let everyone know that this is my boomer here, so she doesn't know the
I'm
teenage
trying my
slang.
best.
She's trying her best. She doesn't know what all of this means. She's just trying.
Yeah, I just installed TikTok like yesterday.
I love her. She's great.
See how I try to use your slang? Very demure.
Very
Okay,
demure.
let's continue.
You know, that demure video was very, very on point when you said it earlier.
Very cutesy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I think it's interesting at this point because this man got down to 2 murders. Also, I'm going to mention Catherine Eddowes did have one of her kidneys stolen, and it was the left kidney. I'm going to mention that now.
And I'm pretty sure it was also her, like, uterus, too. Or is that not confirmed?
I didn't look further into the kidney because the kidney is the most, important part right now.
Yeah.
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 The kidney's the one that's gonna come back around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she did have her kidney stolen. It was the left one, to be even more specific. So yeah, this guy now has 2 police forces after him, and neither of which are gonna really get anywhere in this investigation. Let's just be real.
Oh my god, I'm kind of I'm reading ahead. Okay, continue. I'm excited.
Okay.
To hear what this is about.
Okay, so continuing on October 1st, the police finally made the letter received by the Central News Agency public. The letter read, "Dear boss." Oh, by the way, I'm just going to mention before I keep reading, this man has such a weird way of, like, spelling and forming his sentences that, I might mess up here. So, just a warning before I continue. Anyways, the letter read, "Dear boss, I keep on hearing that police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue, and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. Ha, ha. The next job I do shall chip the lady's ear off and send to the police officers just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get the chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name. P.S. Wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the red ink off my hands. Curse it. No luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now. Ha ha.
This is so odd. Like, the way it came out, like, I can't get the thought out of my head that he's trying so hard to, like, I can't sound like my regular self to anybody who would know me, you know? Or it's maybe like a language barrier, but it is so oddly written. I haven't like read this letter yet. Ever, maybe.
I don't know if it's like a Victorian writing at the time and it was like this, or if like he's just writing weird. Like, I can't figure out which one it is, but I really hate it. I hated reading that.
At least emojis weren't invented yet, you know.
Oh my god, I feel like he would put emojis in there. I'm gonna be honest. I feel
like put so many laughing emojis and so many exclamation points.
I feel like he would have put emojis. Like, I'm not even joking to you. This person sounds like they would put emojis into their handiwork here.
Yeah, especially at the ha ha. Like,
Yeah.
okay, buddy.
I don't know what the proper red stuff is. I'm assuming it might have been like blood or something that he took from the victim, because he stored it in a ginger beer bottle and he wanted to write with it, but it went thick like glue and he can't use it. I think it has to do with like one of the body parts he stole.
And but I feel too like this kind of makes me think it couldn't have been a surgeon or a doctor, because like they would know that the blood clots and becomes like
Oh yeah.
gelatinous.
No,
You know?
people do know later on. I'm gonna mention this now. They note that though this person does have knowledge of anatomy, they don't have a steady hand. So it's unlikely that they are a surgeon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very unlikely they're a surgeon, but they do know about medical, like they know anatomy to some extent to be able to do what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it could be like a hunter, a butcher, probably
Maybe
not,
even,
so, yeah. Maybe even like,
Would it be like out there to say farmer, because sometimes you gotta,
oh yeah, no,
do
if
specific
you,
jobs.
yeah, no, if you're a farmer and you like do the killing of the animal on site, you would have enough knowledge of medical landmarks. Because this goes back to what I research in the, what's it called? Cleveland Torso Murders. It's also stated that he had a good knowledge of a medical anatomy, that the detectives on the case decided, well, it might be a doctor, it could also be a hunter or a butcher, because they also have knowledge of like landmarks on anatomy, because apparently no matter what animal, there's like landmarks that a person can just tell if they know it.
Yeah, across like mammals. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, so they would know. But yeah, going back to it, his cuts were not of a steady hand, so it probably wasn't a surgeon or a doctor or something like that, or even like a medical student or something. They would have to have a more steady hand.
Yeah, that's I think something that throughout my like experience of the story I've always heard, is that he did have a steady hand, but then but yeah, okay, so I have like a not great boomer memory. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Well, I think it's because with Jack the Ripper, like, people do kind of glorify his murders in a way, and do what's the word I'm looking for? Or like
infantilize?
Not infantilize. They do that movie magic with it, basically.
Yeah, I was actually thinking too. There's this movie called From Hell with like Johnny Depp. You know, let's not speak the devil's name, but where like I think maybe a lot of my memory is from that movie, but that movie isn't like, it is using Jack the Ripper as its content, but it goes off into like, they show you who it is in the movie, spoiler alert. But like a lot of my memory is coming from that too, because in the movie, spoiler alert, if you don't want spoilers, skip, but he is a surgeon and he like teaches doctors.
Yeah. I know
like
about that movie.
Too.
Yeah, I know that. I know about that movie. I know exactly who that killer is. He's on the list later. We'll talk about him later. But no, these movies and books and stuff like that tend to like almost glorify and like make his murders more, I don't know, they make him seem like smarter than he is. Like they make him
more perfect.
They give him more of like this like godly, unstoppable aura, when he wasn't that clean or unstoppable. It's just like the conditions of the killings.
Yeah, it's like easier back then to get away with stuff when like your DNA can't be examined, or like hairs can't be.
He's like an infamous serial killer that was never caught, so we like almost glamorize his murders and make them seem like way cooler than they were and stuff like that, I guess would be the best way to state it. Like, I'm not saying they're cool or anything, but like people make it out to be just like so much more than it really was.
Latch on to that idea though, I think.
Yeah, they latch onto the idea and then like dig into it and make it seem more clean and perfect than it was.
Yeah, and like literally the first murder you talked about, like there's a group of people who did it, and they're not caught. So it's like easy. It sounds like
not, but it's not the hardest thing to get away with back then. Yeah, I think it's just because, like, again, he wasn't caught, and he was just like one of the first serial killers that people have like this image of him being like this like mastermind of a killer when he probably wasn't.
It could also be that they're trying to like not look at their police system as hopeless. You know, like if they're like, oh, the killer is really smart, they're outsmarting our police, because you don't want to like not able to rely on your police, right?
Yeah.
Because that's spooky. That's kind of spooky. It's like, oh, if this can happen to these you know, ladies of the evening, then what's to stop it from happening from me? And it's just like, oh, he's just really smart, and so he's outsmarting the police. Like, that's an easier thought, I think, to have than just like, it's hard to get good police work done back then, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's just like, again, I think like a lot of these infamous unsolved murder crimes were just like due to the poor state of the area that they were in.
Literal shit.
Yeah, because like with the Cleveland torso murders, like it was the Great Depression in Cleveland, in an area that was not doing good and was known for basically the same things this area was known for, which was, you know, getting drunk and like, you know, not having jobs and stuff like that. It leads to people being able to get away with things that they really shouldn't be able to. Yeah. And like even with the Black Dahlia murders, I think that World War II was happening or something like that at the time. I forget if it was I think it was World War II. Like just getting out of the Great Depression into World War II. That she like was murdered.
Are spread thin.
Yeah, I'm thinking that like a lot of these infamous murder cases that just go unsolved are literally just because of the time. And, you know, like you just have the breeding ground for a perfect murder rather than these people being like geniuses. Yeah.
But they're not. I mean, from that first letter, he sounds kind of like an idiot, so...
Oh, no, he sounds like he's crazy. He sounds like he's on one from this letter. Yeah. And, like, he sounds like he's having, like, a joyride. Like, he sounds literally insane, I'm gonna be honest.
A little ego high.
Yeah, a little ego high, too. Yeah.
Alright, let's get back to this man.
Okay, so later, on the 6th of October, another letter is received by the Central News Agency that is also signed Jack the Ripper. Police request for the letter to remain unknown to the public. This letter read, and again, his writing is awful in my opinion, so please bear with me. It reads, "You thought yourself very clever, I reckon, when you informed the police. But you made a mistake if you thought I didn't see you. Now I know you know me, and I see your little game, and I mean to finish you and send your ears to your wife if you show this to the police or help them. If you do, I will finish you. It no use you're trying to get out of my way. Because I have you when you don't expect it, I keep my word, as you soon see, and rip you up. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. P.S. You see, I know your address." It's believed that this letter was actually meant to go to one of the witnesses who gave a description of the man that they thought to be the Ripper. So yeah, this man sends a letter to the Central News Agency and writes, "P.S. You see, I know your address" at the end. I don't think you know the address, my guy.
So did he just like miss? I'm confused. Did he like? It's like he butt called them, but like it's so much harder. Like you literally wrote the wrong address on the letter.
Yeah, I think he either wrote the wrong address on the letter or like he like confused it with like a different letter he wanted to send. I don't know. But yeah,
he's a busy boy, I guess.
Yeah, so this letter is believed to have been for a witness rather than a police office. I mean, the Central News Agency.
He's just a boy.
Yeah, this letter was very interesting, and I hate his writing. I'm gonna be honest with you.
It irks me so much. I would block him so fast on Discord.
I would too. Why does he write? Like, is this like actually how Victorian Londoners like wrote, or is this just him like being shit at writing, or is this like him being a foreigner? Because I feel like it might be him being a foreigner. Personally,
I mean, it could be so many things. It could be like if I were thinking how I would do these things if I wanted to be an absolute monster and send letters about my crimes, I would try very hard to not sound like myself. But furthermore, if I'm also a foreigner, I'm like having to translate, that.
Yeah.
So it could be coming off extra weird because of that. But I also would love to know what the experts know about this, because his letters obviously have been like looked up and down by experts. So that would be really interesting, I think.
To my knowledge, experts are like on the fence about all the letters. Some of them believe letters are from the killer, some of them believe they're pranks, some of them think this, some of them think that. Nobody really has like a defined answer on these letters.
Yeah, but it is kind of just also with that last one so odd. Like, if it was a prank, the prankster sending the letter to the wrong agency. Well, actually, maybe... Oh, God. I'm on the fence here, because it could be that, like, oops, I sent it to the wrong address. I sent it to the news agency instead of John down the way. Like, oh, my bad. But they actually meant to send it to the news agency to get it out there, like, if it is a prank. But there's so many odd... I'm not smart enough nearly to sort this out.
Neither am I, don't worry.
Perfect.
It's just
That's
like...
why we're here together.
Yeah, no, it's literally just a bunch of, like, guesses on what's happening here, like, for the most part. Because, like, this guy obviously is on one, and I can't tell what one he's on.
I think it's a multitude of ones he's on.
Yeah, he's going off.
Heidi Moji.
There's the next one's another letter. This next paragraph's another letter, and I'm not excited.
Right, good luck. I mean, do you want me to try to read it, or
nah, I got it. It's fine. We got this. Yep. So,
okay.
And then on October 16th, 1888, George Luck, the businessman who had formed that committee that we talked about earlier, the Mile End Vigilance Committee, receives the most infamous letter, the letter from hell. And it reads, "From hell. Mr. Lusk, sore I send you half the kidney I took from one woman and preserved it for you. Toother piece I fried and ate it. Was very nice." Spelled terribly wrong.
I hate this so much. It's actually spelled this way?
Yeah, I copy and pasted the translation.
Oh my god, okay.
I may send you the bloody knife that took it out if you only wait a while longer. Signed, catch me when you can, Mr. Lusk. That's the letter. That's the entirety of the letter, everybody. I
never have to hear that again.
I need all of you to know that all of these things were spelled so incorrectly. Like, kidney was spelled wrong, preserved was spelled wrong, nice was spelled wrong, knife was spelled wrong, weight was spelled wrong, while was spelled wrong, Mr. was spelled wrong.
Wait, how did they spell Mr.? Hold on, I'm not even there yet.
Mr.
Oh, Mr.
Mr.
Lusk. Oh my god.
Anyways, okay, so here's the most interesting part about this letter. This letter was sent with half a human kidney preserved in wine.
Wow.
Yeah. So the press speculated that this kidney was Catherine Eddowes' kidney, as it was the correct kidney that was missing. and hers, again, was missing, and it was the left kidney, and her left kidney was missing. So yeah, it was probably her kidney, and it seemed like it was half-eaten. And if this kidney and the letter were indeed written by the killer, it shows that the killer was probably a cannibal.
Our favorite.
Not my favorite.
I'm sarcasm.
I'm not part of it. I know somebody here who really likes Hannibal Lecter a lot, but it ain't me.
But listen, this guy's icky, and at least Hannibal can spell.
I know that Victorian London had very weird ways of, like, writing, but I don't think it was this bad. So I think this is, like, either a language barrier or this man is just, like, losing it. Or
like
something.
How show people will spell night, like N-I-T-E. But this is really bad. Like sore, S-O-R. I don't even know if he's trying to spell so or...
I think he said, I thought it was sorry, I say you have a kidney.
Oh.
I thought that's what it meant. I thought he was trying to say sorry.
Well, the
or
kidney
sir.
was preserved in wine, so maybe our boy here was a little drunk while, like, drunk texting the media.
Literally, like, it feels like he's drunk texting. These letters feel like drunk texts. I'm not laughing at, like, the murders. I'm laughing at this man and the way, like, he is presenting himself in these letters, if it is actually him sending all these letters. Like, Jesus Christ, my guy.
If I didn't know the outcome of this case, because it's so, like, vintage, it's, you know, historical, I would be like, they definitely caught this guy.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, no, this person seems like they're getting a bit cocky over here.
And then just, like, if the letters are actually from him, which, you know.
Yeah,
this
no.
one seems like the worst written, by the way, too. Like.
Oh, yeah, no, but, like, all of them have the trend of being awfully written.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's the fact that the kidney was half-eaten and preserved in wine, so, I mean, like...
Yep.
He could be drunk. And that's why it's worse.
Sherry, you know, like the other half of the kidney, maybe he got, like, he jello shotted it, essentially. I'm sorry to put it that way. I just icked myself out. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Carrie, let's continue. Let's shove that under the rug.
I just can't get over this letter. I'm sorry. It's not happening. It's never gonna happen.
There
was theories, though. I will mention, before we move on, there was theories by certain police officers, like, not all of them, but some of them believe that maybe a medical student sent it in as a prank. And that's how they had the kidney, and they just, terrible. Like, cut it in half. Yeah, it would be, like, a really shitty prank to do. And also, it was sent not to the police and not to, like, the news agency. It was sent to the person who set up a committee just to find Jack the Ripper, of all people.
Mr. Lusk.
Mr. Lusk. Yeah. So, I mean, like, me personally, I do think the Ripper sent it, personally. Just because it was sent to Lusk, of all people. Like a tee-hee ha-ha, good luck finding me. Ooh.
And it's not... And it feels similar to the other.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then on top of that, just, like, knowing other serial killers in the past, like the Zodiac Killer, like, with the knowledge of serial killers we have now compared to back then, it just feels like something a serial killer would do once their ego starts getting inflated.
Yeah, they love making it known. They love getting their word in, and...
yeah, they do.
Or some of them, you know, not...
They love
all serial killers.
They love to make a statement. In some way, shape, or form. Because, like, for example, I'm gonna go back to the Cleveland murders because I did a video on that, so, like, I have way too much information on that. He didn't write anything to the media, but what he did do was he, like, left bodies in front of, what's it called? He left bodies in front of the police station.
Yeah, so, like, very public.
Yeah. And he puts two of the bodies, the last two bodies, were able to be seen from outside of the lead investigator's window.
Oh, yeah, so, like, line of sight.
Yeah, it was line of sight. So, you know, he was making a statement as well. Like, he was getting cocky there. Like, even if he didn't write a letter, he was like...
Yeah, he was doing it his own way.
Yeah.
And like the Ripper's murders are also very fucking public.
Yeah.
Excuse my cursive.
Yeah, and then, like I said, Zodiac Killer sent messages. The Black Dahlia's killer sent messages. Like, they all have a habit of doing this.
They're all peacocking.
Yeah, they like to peacock. They like to have their little ego.
Yeah, that's actually a very good grouping, I think, for grouping this kind of serial killer, is like the peacock one.
Yeah, the peacock. Yeah, I think he was a peacock serial killer. He liked to really show all his feathers.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on November 9th at 45 a.m., our final confirmed victim of the Ripper, Mary Kelly, is found dead in her room at 13th Miller's Court, Dorset Street, Spitalsfield. I think that's how you say it. Spitalsfield.
Spittles.
Anyways, this was Jack the Ripper's youngest victim, as she was only 25 years old at the time of her death. This victim was the only victim that was not found on the street as well. So at midnight to about 1 a.m. on November 9th, several of Mary's neighbors could hear Mary singing "Only a Violet I Plucked from My Mother's Grave," because the walls are very thin. At 2 a.m., George Hutchinson met with Mary on Commercial Street, and Mary asked him for money, but he declined. The two then met another man on Commercial Street and walked along with him back to Dorset Street, where Mary led the man into Miller's Court. Hutchinson waited on the other side for the two, but neither of them had come back after 45 minutes, so he decided to leave. He got ditched, basically.
Oof, ghosted.
Yeah, he basically got ditched by the two people he was with. So at around 4 a.m., several of the neighbors heard a faint cry of murder coming in the direction of Mary's room. From 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., however, several people reported seeing Mary on the street near her room. And finally, at 10:45 a.m., John McCarthy sends Thomas Boyer to 13th Miller's Court to collect Mary's overdue rent. But once he got there, he found Mary horribly mutilated on the bed. Like, intestines everywhere.
Poor girlie.
Yeah.
Such baby.
Yeah, I think the other victims that were murdered were like going into their like 40s and 50s, but she was the youngest.
Yeah, it feels like the victims got progressively younger.
I think so.
And like, yeah, that's
Yeah. And the interesting part about this one is that like she had her own like room. Like it was thought that he had been there for like 2 hours.
Yeah, so like the
with
most
the body.
Time spent with a victim.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, people believe that he had killed her and was with her for 2 hours before leaving. Because he had like that, he had a room. Like it was private. Yeah. He wasn't worried about anybody walking down the street interrupting him.
So gruesome.
Yeah.
So spooky.
Yeah, and she definitely had her womb taken, if I'm correct. She was definitely the one with the womb.
Is this the one? Okay,
Yeah, the last one definitely had her womb taken.
Misinformation on my part. That's what I'm here for.
Well, listen, I think he stole wombs from multiple victims, but I know for sure she did.
Okay,
have her womb
so
taken.
this one's confirmed. I got it.
Yeah, the other ones, I think Catherine also had her womb taken along with her kidney, and I think half the kidney was sent back. So that's why I mentioned the kidney there, because it's more important than like the other information. But
yeah. So is it just the womb on this one?
I think he had taken multiple organs. I know the womb was like very notable because, again, it's the womb of all things. I mean, I know she was definitely disemboweled. Like, I think her guts were everywhere. Yeah.
Not fun to walk in on.
No. That had to have been horrific to walk in on. But yeah, that's what happened. Anyways, from here I'm gonna speak on a few more events that happened in Whitechapel that are unconfirmed to be the acts of the Ripper or not. So on December 20th, 1888, Rose Millet, also known as Catherine Millet or Lizzie Davis, I don't know why, she just has 3 names for some reason, and was found strangled in Clark's yard. However, a Dr. Robert Anderson and another doctor named Dr. Thomas Bond also, they both believe that she had accidentally hung herself while drunk, basically. That's what they think happened. Like, she got her collar or something stuck on something while she was walking drunk, and she had accidentally hung herself.
How sad.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, but the only thing that they really knew was that she was strangled, and it was just theorized by 2 doctors that she had accidentally hung herself. So the court disagreed and decided it was a murder. So we have, like, professional doctors' opinions, it was an accidental suicide, and then we have, like, the court's opinion, which is, like, it's a murder.
And the court being, like, no one of like, doctor status or physicianal status, it's just...
I don't believe, I think it's just the court. Like,
it's just, like,
the politician people, yeah.
Like, that sounds so unreasonable. I mean, I kind of scoffed at it too. It sounds
unreasonable, but, like,
but
it could happen.
Time, everyone's drunk, you know.
It could definitely happen. If you're drunk, if you're that drunk, I'm so sure you could accidentally hang yourself. There's, like, so many, like, it's unbelievably easy to kill yourself on, like, accident.
Yeah.
Like, everything's a danger to you.
Yeah, especially in, like, shit central Whitechapel.
Yeah.
1888 London.
Yeah, literally just standing somewhere is, like, putting yourself in danger. Simply getting in a car is putting yourself in danger. Like, doing everyday tasks is a danger. So I'm not surprised if somebody managed to hang themselves while drunk. I don't know. I kind of agree with the doctors just because, you know, I believe it. It sounds so outrageous, I believe it.
I'm more inclined to believe doctors, I guess, than, like, old white dudes on who are of the court. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, no, just my
like,
personal
a court
opinion.
Doctor, but, yeah.
I mean, the 2 doctors that did examine the body both were like, I think she hung herself. But who knows?
Weird. Yeah.
Who knows? Okay. You know,
we're not professionals.
I'm definitely not a professional. I yap on YouTube.
I watch enough true crime. I think I could.
Yeah, I'm just a professional yapper, not a professional doctor. Sorry. Sorry, internet. I'll work on it. Anyways, on July 17th, 1889, Alice Mackenzie's body was found in Castle Alley. Despite the fact that her injuries were less savage than the other victims of Jack the Ripper, several detectives do believe that she was a victim of Jack the Ripper, but it is up in the air. So yeah, there was another victim. Not as brutally murdered, but detectives, not all of them, but several of them were like, yeah, I think this might be the Ripper. And then later, a mutilated torso of an unidentified woman was found beneath a railway arch in Pynchon Street on September 10th, 1889. And finally...
Oh, you have one more. Never mind.
Yeah,
I'll say my thing after. Okay.
And finally, on February 13th, 1891, Frances Coles was murdered and found between a railway arch in Shallow's garden. And people at the time believed this meant that the killer was back and at it again. And the police arrested a sailor by the name of James Thomas Sadler for the murder, but he was later acquitted.
So it sounds... I mean, the way I'm viewing all of this is it's like we had that initial murder that was seemingly unrelated, and then just like boom, 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 it kind of like steamrolled the events of people's body parts being found and people being murdered outside of this. So yeah, I mean, like, one could think like, oh, it's the same guy. One would want to think it's the same guy, but it also could just be that like the word was put out that like murder can be a thing, and you know, like
Oh
other
yeah,
people
no.
got the idea like, oh, well, I really hate my wife, so you know, I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's totally true. Especially because these murders are kind of very separated by time. Like
and it seems like also very like misogynistic. Like whoever did like most of these, even the Ripper ones and the ones you just talked about, like besides the
they're all sex
potential
killings,
unaliving of oneself, like it's all very like woman centric and like hating.
Oh yeah, they're all
kinda.
sex killings.
Yeah.
I'll put it right out there. It's sex killings. They're classified as sex killings.
Yeah.
Disgust. Yeah. Yeah, I will say, like, once you like start hearing about a killer, copycat killers are bound to make their way out there. You know? So
yeah, they jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah. So maybe that like somebody heard about it and decided to do some killings of their own. Who knows? So we can now move on to possible suspects.
Yay!
Yay! Yay! We're here. We're at the part of the video where we can talk about who done it.
I can't wait. Tell me who did it.
Well, there are 37 plus possible suspects.
Wow.
So there's over 37 possible speculated people who possibly did them. But we're only going to talk about
Everybody
11 of them.
Town.
We're only
Everybody in town.
Basically.
Literally anybody.
It was you. I think it was
You're
you, Kat.
a killer.
I think
Look
it was
under
you.
your
It's
chair.
over.
No.
It's over. I think you time traveled.
It's all ogre.
I'm canceling you on Twitter for the murder. But yeah, no. Basically, we're gonna only talk about 11 of them. I'm not gonna go through more than fucking 37 killers.
I was so excited for a second.
No, we're not doing that. Especially because some of them are so dumb.
I know, I'm kidding. Yeah, please, just 11 will do.
So before we get into all the possibilities, let's look at what the police originally came up with. So the original police believed that the crimes were being carried out by one person. No, actually, wait. Originally, the police believed that the crimes were being carried out by one of the local gangs, going back to Emma Smith, but the first, who was the first murder victim of Whitechapel. However, once Annie Chapman had been killed on September 8th, the police finally decided it was one person they were looking for rather than a gang. So that was the turning point. It was Annie Chapman's murder. They went from a gang to one person. And then...
Was she the second one? Sorry.
Annie Chapman, I believe, was the second murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once they had that second body, they were like, okay, this is one person doing this. It's not a gang. Then the killer seemed to have some... Okay, so the police also decided that the killer had some amount of medical knowledge, as previously mentioned. So police had started to investigate several medical students who had spent time in asylums, because apparently you can become a medical student if you've gone to an asylum.
Huh.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't think, at least at this time period, we can really vet out how much better these people were after spending time in an asylum. Because, again, medicine was not that good back then.
Yeah, especially, like, of the mind.
Yeah, of the mind. Like, okay, it's not to say that, like, somebody who's mentally ill can't be, like, a medical student. Because, like, nowadays, I think, like, you very well can, like, you know, overcome, like, the mental illness and stuff like that. But asylums back then tended to deem people as insane. And they were just like, yeah, you're insane. And then you're like, harmful to other people, and, like, you can hurt other people and stuff like that. And that's just how they carried out. Like, they didn't really do anything to help, so quote unquote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's just like a slippery slope there. I don't know. Just for back then. Yeah. I think nowadays we're good.
Back then was a slippery slope paved on the, like, liquid courage, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't trust medicine back then. I'm gonna be so like for real. I don't trust medicine back then to do anything.
I mean, I don't trust medicine now either, but we have so much more.
Oh yeah, we're way better off right now. But like, if somebody is deemed by an asylum to possibly be harmful to other people, maybe we should just not let them enter a medical field after being in the asylum in the 1800s in particular.
Yeah, but at the same rate too, there was like a more modern study done where like these doctors were told like, okay, you're going to get inpatients, and you have to tell us which ones you think are actually we're going to send you like mentally well people as well as mentally unwell, and you have to tell us which ones are which. And I think that they were all like mentally well people, but so many of them were diagnosed as
wait, that was a thing? If that was a thing, that was stupid. I'm saying that right now. That's so stupid.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounded really stupid.
That sounds so stupid. That sounds like...
Yeah.
That
well,
sounds
because they
stupid.
also told the doctors to, like, look out for it, too. So it's just like...
Oh, if that's a thing, that's so dumb.
It was not done very well. No.
Yeah, no. I don't know.
There's that really dumb study to throw a wrench in anything.
I don't like the 1800s. I'm just saying it right now. I don't like the 1800s.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not there.
Yeah. I much prefer today's day where me having a bit of a manic episode doesn't result in me having a lobotomy, you know?
Especially as women too, because you could literally be like, you could be in a mood one day and like your husband's like, I'm sick of this. Go to the asylum, woman.
Yeah. No, it sucks. Like I don't know. Medical stuff in general back then is a big yucky. I don't know. Anyways, so the students were ruled out, however. So even they no matter like even with that investigation, like they decided it wasn't a medical student. Others decided that the killer's medical knowledge was there, but it wasn't to the degree of a medical student or a professional. So the killer being a butcher was suggested, and the police investigated numerous local butchers and slaughterhouses to no avail. So now we're going to go back to our suspects. Our main suspects by the police at the time and current day investigators include Montague Druitt, Michael Ostrog, Aaron Kaminsky, Walter Sickert, Sir William Gull, Charles Cross, George Chapman, Thomas Cutbush, Dr. Francis Tumblety, James Maybrook, and Edgar Degas. Yeah, we have a list. We have a list.
That is quite a list.
We have a list. I know which one Kat's more excited about.
But hold the thought, because I'm on Google.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I have a list. I just wanted to see what the 37 list looked like. For some reason, Lewis Carroll is on here. I'm not trying to add this actually on the list, but I just thought that was so odd.
Lewis Carroll's on the list?
Yeah, the author. The
Oh
pen,
my
his pen name
God.
is Lewis Carroll.
I love that for him.
His not pen name is Charles Lutwig Dachshund. Was he just on your list or no?
No, I can tell you who was on the list. I can announce it. I have it. We can look at it if we want to. I can say it in order from what people think is more likely to not. I wouldn't mind.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of curious because this Google list is, they also put Annie Chapman, one of the victims, on it,
So, this list that I have, is from the Jack the Ripper, .org. I think it's like the museum or something like that. Whatever. It's like one of the more credible sites. So they had like a poll that went on, and they put 37 people on the poll, and I added Edward Degas because of more recent stuff on TikTok. Yes. Anyway, so this poll, I have so I'm gonna list them from most likely to least likely according to the internet's perception. So first we have Aaron Kaminsky, who I mentioned already. We have Francis Templety as number 2. Then we have Charles Lechmere. I hate that last name. I can't say things.
That's a struggle.
It's Lechmere, I think. I'm so bad at pronouncing things. I'm sorry. So Charles is actually Charles Cross, who we mentioned earlier. And then we have just some local nobody, because that's an option.
That's not his name.
It's not his name. People are just saying it's probably just some local nobody that we don't know the name of. So, like, it's none of the above, basically.
Oh, because this is a polled list?
Yeah, this is a polled list. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Then we have James Maybrick as the 4th. Then we have... The 5th was the just some random nobody. I skipped him on accident, sorry. Then we have Montague Druitt. Then we have Walter Sickert. And then we have H.H. Holmes.
Yep.
Joseph Barnett. George Chapman.
Can you do H.H. sometime, please?
H.H. Holmes?
Maybe.
I feel like that's gonna be a rabbit hole that you're mentioning it now.
I know, but, like, I also at one point was like, he would have been such a suspect for Jack the Ripper. But anyway, I digress. Sorry.
Wait. Is H.H. Holmes who I think it is?
He had a murder hotel.
Oh yeah, it's a murder hotel. Okay, cool. Just
yeah.
I was like, is it the murder hotel? It's a murder hotel.
He came to America. He was from I can't remember, London or Europe or something. So, murder hotel.
Yeah, when I saw H.H. Holmes, I thought it was the murder hotel thing, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, he's truly a monster. I mean, so is Jack. So
okay.
That's why, you know.
Yeah. I get you. Anyways, after George Chapman, we have Jacob Levy. And then we have Thomas Cutbush, Prince Albert Edward Victor.
I've seen him on my list, which I'm just like, why would a prince...
I will go into it eventually, because technically it does kind of go with somebody else who's on the list that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to mention why I don't care to put it on there. Yeah. So then on the 14th person we have is David Cohen. 15th would be Carl Fagenbaum. I'm sorry if I'm saying these wrong. Then we have George Hutchson. The 17th is Leather Apron, which is the Polish guy who was extorting the prostitutes that we talked about earlier. Then we have Sir William Gull. Then we have Nathan Kamsky, Michael Ostrog, Michael Maybrick, James Kelly, Neil Cream, Frederick Bailey Deming, Francis Thompson, Eleanor Piercy, John McCarthy, William Henry Barry, Robert Mann, Lewis Carroll, Louis Demschutz, Sir John Williams, Albert Batchert, Edward Buckley, Hyams. That's an interesting name. Joseph Levy, and then John Pizer, who is believed to be the Leather Apron guy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. They just put them separate because it's not really confirmed that he was Leather Apron. They just believe he's Leather Apron.
Oh, yeah, and he had an alibi.
Yeah, he had alibis.
Yeah.
So those are all of the potential suspects that are really looked into. But yeah.
Such a chunky list.
Very chunky.
I just don't... When you have that many, like, you're just pointing fingers at everybody at this point. You know that there's, like, a loss of... I don't know.
There was just, they did not have a direction to go in.
They couldn't even pinpoint a profession for this person, which is now that we have the breakdown of how to oh my god, what's the word when you build up a character profile for a murderer?
Well, see,
right?
Serial killer profiling wasn't a thing until the 70s.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until recently.
Yeah, very recently. Which is just so spooky, and you can see why with this case alone, why it's so important to at least know the profession of the person you're seeking.
Oh yeah, no, it's so fascinating because like behavioral science and stuff like that, it wasn't taken seriously by the FBI, and neither was there was this one woman who worked with the behavioral science people, but it wasn't taken seriously by the FBI until they started analyzing serial killers and the pattern of serial killers, because like they needed it for some serial killer that was happening. I forget what. I just know very broadly that like it really wasn't taken seriously until the 70s, because
the things we know now.
Because before the 70s, people just kind of worked off of like who had the motive, like who knew the victim and had the motive and had the means and opportunity to commit the crime, rather than like with a serial killer where it's more likely just like random people that they pick off the street.
Yeah, the less contact and like personability with the character or this victim as possible. Yeah,
they, like serial killers don't really choose people that they know super well.
Their working knowledge was like, okay, did they owe them money, or were they in love with this person, or like is this
it's out the window. Yeah, they don't subscribe to normal murder habits.
Yeah, very very outlier for this time period.
Yeah, so it just made it like very hard, considering that this science really wouldn't be like looked into until 100 years later. Like this is 100 years before.
Wow.
Yeah. To put it in perspective, it's 100 years before they would have behavioral analysis on serial killers.
Like a whole lifespan. Essentially. Dude's like actually like he's probably been gone for a long time before they studied
definitely
anything.
Yeah. No, definitely. He got away with it. 100%. So, first up on our chopping block is going to be Montague John Druitt, an assistant commissioner of the London Metropolitan Police named Melville McNaughton's favorite suspect as to who Jack the Ripper was Montague John Druitt. Druitt was a barista that worked as an assistant schoolmaster on the side. Druitt was, according to McNaughton, 41 around the time of the murders, and even his own family believed that he was the murderer. In November of 1888, Druitt was unexplainably dismissed from his job at the school that he worked at, and then by December 1888, Druitt had killed himself in the Thames River. The reason for his suicide was that Montague felt that he had the same illness as his mother, who had become ill. And with Druitt's death came the ending of the Jack the Ripper killings. However, Druitt was actually 31 when he died, and his suicide was probably due to his dismissal rather than mental illness.
Yeah, that sounds accurate. And I was also going to ask, like, how did they know he probably committed Sudoku-side because of his mother, like that whole connection there? Like, is that something that he told somebody or left in a letter? Like, or are they just grasping?
Continuing on, I'm gonna continue on because I think we might get there kind of ish. So his though his family believed that he was the murderer, was more of hearsay rather than evidence. So, because like this came from like a third party to, how do you say his name? McNaughton? Yeah, McNaughton. Yeah. So McNaughton got this information from like a third party. It wasn't from the family itself. So I think like the information he has is like from third party hearsay and like rumors rather than like actual evidence. So I think the illness as well came from hearsay rather than actual truth.
Yeah, they're probably just like, oh, it fits the bill, and they're trying to maybe kind of narrate a story
I think people were making up a story Like,
Yeah.
oh, he killed himself
Very
and the
sad.
murder stopped. It was him.
Yeah, or at least they believed to have stopped.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
subscribe to the Holmes theory, then, you know, no, did not.
So yeah, it was on hearsay rather than actual evidence from the third party themselves. And on top of this, another investigator at the time, Inspector Frederick George Aberline, did not believe Drew was the killer. So we have another person on the case. I believe Aberline was actually the lead investigator at the time as well on the case. So we have like the lead investigator also not believing it was Druid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a safe bet to go with that it wasn't, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think he did end it all because of losing his job. Because I feel like losing your job at the time was probably not a good thing considering how Whitechapel is. I think it'd be very hard to get another one.
Yeah, you don't recover too well from that. Like, even nowadays it's depressing to not have a paying job. So
I don't think they recovered.
A lot of people. Yeah.
Yep. Next up on the list we have Michael Ostrog, a Russian doctor and criminal who was placed in an asylum for his homicidal tendencies. He started with petty theft and con artistry before becoming more violent, according to rumors. However, no records would actually indicate that he was homicidal or violent. And it seems that his release from the asylum on March 88th, that he actually went to France, where he was arrested under one of the aliases he used. And there in France, he was actually held in prison during the time of the murders, ruling him out as a suspect. So, yeah, people seem to think it's him, but, like, he was in jail.
Yeah, I don't know. That's, yeah.
Yeah. The more you read about these, the more you realize people are just pointed fingers.
Yeah, no, it's just like everyone's a killer at this point.
Yeah. You have any hint of being a little aggressive and you're a killer. Or a little mentally unstable, you're a killer. Sorry.
Well, and mental instability back then too, like we were talking about, if you were just quote unquote hysterical, you could go.
Yeah, no, you could literally just be having like a manic episode and be sent off. Just a little episode and it's over for you.
Thank modernity that we do not subscribe to any of that for mental health anymore. Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, we would both be like bashing our heads together.
Oh my god, do you think we would be roommates?
I would only hope. Like, think of the shenanigans we could get up to.
Oh my god, we'll get our lobotomy appointments together.
And then we can like escape.
Oh my god, we'll kick the little spiky tool thing into the doctor and run away.
A voice from beyond said, "You guys are not escaping the Delulu bin."
Oh my god.
Yeah. Let's continue.
What's wrong with us?
So much.
Anyways, so our next suspect, Aaron Kaminsky, was a Polish immigrant who lived with his sister's family. Kaminsky was primarily a barber throughout his life, though he didn't really attempt to work while he was in England. 3 investigators on the Jack the Ripper case believe that Kaminsky was Jack the Ripper, as he supposedly had a hatred of women, prostitutes, and had a strong homicidal tendencies. In 1891, he was even institutionalized for threatening his sister with a knife and had been considered mentally ill. It is claimed, however, that a supposed shawl of a Catherine Eddowes that was previously mentioned before had Kaminsky's DNA on it, and most people today believe that Aaron Kaminsky was the murderer because of this.
But could he have been a customer?
Yeah, he could have been a customer. Also, we don't actually know if that shawl was Catherine Eddowes. It's just supposedly Catherine Eddowes.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so wild how we don't even know what articles of belongings belong to these victims.
Oh yeah. I mean, I actually, this is the theory I subscribe to, like, the most, just because at least there's DNA evidence included in this. But at the same time, like, that DNA could be other things of a more lewd nature.
I see what you're getting at here. And can I, like, how long... So this was just, like, saved evidence that eventually when DNA became, like, a thing is when it got processed, right?
Yeah, I think that's what happened
like,
here.
Such a long time, you know?
Yeah, it's a very long time. Like, I'm not even sure that they would know if the DNA came from, like, a hair or, like, skin or, like, lewd stuff that I was mentioning before. Like, I'm not too sure. Especially because, like, again, we don't know if this is hers.
Yeah.
So,
and that's, like, some information that just has been lost through time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, this is a pretty good, you know, suspect idea. At least it doesn't feel like they're pointing fingers for no reason, but, like...
Yeah, they have something.
Yeah.
But
unlike
we
this
also
next one.
Still have nothing. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Unlike this next one.
I'm ready.
Next up is my boy Walter Sicker. Listen, I saw a picture of this guy and I thought he was pretty. I'm gonna say that now, just so everyone understands.
I'm gonna go look at the picture while you tell me about him.
You already saw the picture.
No, I know, but I'm just gonna stare at him while you tell me about him.
Okay, I see what you're doing here. Anyways, so Walter was an artist that had multiple crime art. Okay, I'm gonna start that over. Walter was an artist that multiple crime authors theorize to have been either the Ripper or the Ripper's accomplice. Crime novelist Patricia Cornwell believes that Walter Sicker was 100% the Jack the Ripper. Her theory heavily leans on the idea that Sickert had become impotent by a series of painful childhood operations as he had a penis fistula, which basically means that his penis was abnormally connected to another part of his body, such as, like, his leg. This apparently scarred him emotionally and left him with a hatred of women, so this hatred led him to commit murders. But hospital records from St. Mark's Hospital show that the operations were performed on Sickert's rectum rather than his penis. On top of that, records show that Sickert was anything but impotent, as the reason his first wife wanted a divorce was because he was super adulterous, like multiple mistresses, and even had a illegitimate child, kind of adulterous. As for him hating women, there isn't a lot to back that up either, so... Yeah. I mean, he did make a painting.
Maybe. Right. So that could be women hate, but there's not a lot to, like...
Oh yeah. So there is a painting that he made called the Camden Town Murder, which was based off of a real murder of a prostitute named Emily Dimmock. But really it just seemed like that Sickert was like fascinated by murder more than anything else, rather than him actually being a murderer.
Red flag for a man.
Yeah, just a bit. Like, I understand why women are into, like, these things, because, like, it helps them, not get into a situation, you know?
If you're not police or an investigator, and you're just a run-of-the-mill, like, male out there in the world, like, and he was like, yo, you hear about Jack the Ripper, or, like, this murder, I'd be like, because that's also a thing, too, with murderers. Like, wives will be like, oh, yeah, no, I thought it was very strange that he was fixated on this murder, string of murders or whatever. So, you know, it's just like, it doesn't come off good.
I will say to all the men out there who just innocently like crime, I'm sorry the other men are ruining it for you. We're not talking about you. We're talking about the ones that actually, like, get really invested in it and then, like, commit the murder. Yeah. You're fine if you're watching this. You know who you are. You're fine.
Not all true crime fans.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like I feel like a lot of women gravitate to true crime just because, they have that
Trauma bond
fear.
to it.
Yeah, it's like a way to protect yourself, like a way to not get caught in like a situation and have history repeat itself rather than like a fascination. There are some true crime girlies though who are a little too like obsessed with like actual murders.
Yeah, no,
though.
there's
And we also don't claim them,
There's an unwellness to those girlies.
Yeah. Like the ones that like to send like serial killers like fan letters, like those girls. We don't like them. We don't claim them either.
Yeah.
Not all girls, not all guys. I guess. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So it just seemed like Sickert really just liked murder. Like he was just fascinated by it. And also, there's evidence to point to the idea that Sickert was on holiday in France at the time of the murders. So stop slandering my man. I don't think he did it.
He looks very demure, very...
Yeah, he looks very demure. Very respectful.
And his painting, if you guys want to look it up, it's actually... I kind of like it. Like, the composition and everything.
Oh, yeah, no, he was a good artist.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a cool picture. It's definitely very creepy.
Yeah, no. Okay, we'll get to it later. I'll leave it. We'll wait. Okay, so we're gonna go on to our next suspect now. Our next suspect is an English physician by the name of Sir William Gull. So Gull made some significant contributions to medical science, including the advancement in the understanding of myxedemia. I don't know if I said that right. Bright's disease, paraplegia, and anorexia nervosa. He established the names for all of these, by the way. And a royal conspiracy made up in the 1970s saw Gull as either knowing or being Jack the Ripper. However, Gull was 71 at the time and ill. Also, on top of that, at the time of the murders. So I'm not even going to entertain the idea that it was him that was the murderer. And also, this goes back to your movie that you mentioned earlier, because it was him that they portrayed as being the murderer. Yeah, From Hell. He's the one that people tend to paint as the murderer. But, like, it's very unlikely it was him. I will say that the royal conspiracy is that one of the princes had an illegitimate child or something like that, and the 5 prostitutes were like friends with the person of the illegitimate child, and they had to get rid of them to keep the secret or whatever of the child. It was like some whack idea that I don't. So they believe that Gull either like was part of the conspiracy or did the murders himself. And I don't believe he did the murders. I also just don't believe in this theory because it was made up in the 70s. It wasn't even like a theory people had in the day.
I just imagine being not only ill during the time of these murders, like just think 1888 medical. Even if you were like a wealthy person, the medical industry, they were probably still doing like leeches and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they weren't doing anything good.
Maybe not leeches, but I don't foresee it being very great for anybody involved.
No. Medical procedures back then, I would rather do any, like back then, I would have done anything not to have to go under surgery. I'm sorry. Not happening.
No.
Not happening. I even think people back then would just suffer with their tumors and stuff like that, and they would just let them grow abnormally large rather than go get a surgery because they were like, fuck no. Yeah, even people back then were like, fuck no.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, if they were like, fuck no, I'm definitely like, fuck no.
They're like, I'm gonna wait this one out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like, people would have tumors and they would be huge on their face. Like, huge.
Yeah.
It'd be like another face on their face.
No offense to the tumor faces out there.
Oh, no, I don't mean it in an offensive way. I just mean, like, they let it get out of hand.
No,
rather than going to get a surgery because...
I mean...
Like, it wasn't even a monetary thing. It was a, I don't want to be touched by a fucking doctor thing.
Yeah, like, when was hand washing invented? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, no, a lot of these people didn't even know, like, how germs are spread back then. Ain't no way. They ain't touching me. Anyways, yeah, I don't even like to entertain that theory. So yeah, I like this next victim though. This is a fun one to think about. So our next suspect, not victim. God damn it.
Right.
Anyways,
1848, by the way, was when hand washing was invented. I just had to Google it.
Oh, so they knew about hand washing. Wow.
Yeah. So
they knew minimal. They knew minimal things. Woo.
We had that. Okay. Yes. On to the next.
I like this theory. This one's interesting. So, next up we have Charles Cross, which was the person to find Mary Nichols' body, which was the first victim of Jack the Ripper. In 2012, several newspapers suggested that Cross was far from being innocent bystander and rather was Jack the Ripper, and that Robert had come down the street when he was just getting finished with murdering her, so he quickly pretended like he just found Mary like that. And
Ooh.
Robert and Cross's accounts of the night were also very contradictory about where Cross was when Robert came down onto the scene. So Cross had said that he wasn't on top of the body at all, he was kind of far away from it, while Robert was like, oh, he was on top of the body.
So, like, self-reporting, but not.
Yeah. This one's
so
interesting.
sus.
This one's interesting.
Yeah.
He's a third favorite suspect amongst people today, as it seems that he lied a bit in his testimonies, and it was also very convenient that he had found Mary that quickly after the murder, but didn't see the murderer.
Does he have alibis for any of the other murders, or?
I don't know. I don't think they looked into him after that. I think they literally were just like, okay, this guy stumbled upon the body, and that was it.
They just dropped the ball here, I think, because I like this theory too.
Yeah, no, I do like this theory, especially because, like, the doctor, I noted it earlier, like, the doctor came onto the scene and was like, oh, this girl died 30 minutes ago. And 30 minutes ago was when Cross allegedly found the body.
And they seen, like, nobody else in the area, which is just...
No, nobody else was there. Cross claims that he just was walking down the street and then he saw, like, a pile of stuff and he kind of looked at it and he was like, oh, it's a woman. Oh, no. Also, if you remember, Robert wanted to prop the woman up. But Cross was like, no, let's leave her.
He's the one who didn't want to touch her again.
Yes,
after, like,
Cross was the one that didn't
touching
want to
her
touch
chest.
her again after touching her face. He touched her face.
Normal person
Cross touched her face, and then
Yeah.
Robert touched her chest.
I see. Yeah, what normal person would be in this era would be like, I don't want to touch the scene of the crime more.
Yeah.
Like, you would think that they wouldn't.
And I think it's
Yeah,
interesting because, like, the head was cut almost completely off. So, like, had Cross been the person to kill her, he wouldn't want Robert to see that the head would probably completely fall off if they try to prop her up.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Because that would make him be like, oh, she's dead. What the frick?
Yeah.
You know, that would make him more suspicious.
But also propping... no, actually, I do also, like, especially if you think somebody's just passed out drunk, you'd maybe want to prop them up so that they don't...
yeah, you at least want to
sit
prop
on
them
their
onto the
vomit.
side. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've dealt with enough drunk girlies in my time. Okay.
Yeah.
It's scary. Yeah.
So, like, I think it's interesting that Cross did not want to touch the body again after touching it. He already touched it.
And what normal person goes there next? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, I don't want to leave more evidence. I don't want to touch the body more.
Yeah.
Especially when there was that one where that man pulled down
I mean,
skirt, so she was modest.
yeah, no, that's them.
You know?
That's them.
That's them. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So the thing.
Wait, which one did it? Which one pulled the skirt down?
I don't know.
In the testimony.
It said they both did. Like, it was just a relative they, so I don't know if it was one of them or both of them or what. But in the test, yeah.
Picture this, like, Cross goes to reach for the dress, and the other guy, what was his name? Sorry. Robert puts his hand on top of Cross's hand, and they pull her skirt down together to give her modesty.
God damn it.
It's like a meet cute.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, but that's, like, what I thought when you were like, together, they did it. Like, who? I don't know.
Well, my assumption would be maybe Cross did it. That way he could hide any mutilation to the body.
That's what I'm
more easily.
Yeah, that's what I was trying
to give him time to get the fuck out of there.
And maybe Robert suggested it, like, oh, pull her skirt down because she's showing some ankle. And then Cross was like, that's a good idea. I can hide my crime.
Yeah. So the Charles
Yeah.
Cross theory is actually really interesting to me, and I can see why it's like a third favorite amongst people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I included all the information about the doctors and stuff like that, just because, like, him. Anyways. Our next main suspect is that of Inspector Aberline, which was the head of the Jack the Ripper case. This would be George Chapman, also known as Søren Kolski, who was a Polish immigrant who was also a qualified surgeon in Poland that moved to England when he was an adult. In London, he became an assistant hairdresser. Kowalski was eventually arrested for the murder of his mistress. And oh no, not his mistress, all of his mistresses. He had four, and three of which he killed. I'm everywhere right now.
No, it's okay. So is this case, literally.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, so basically Kowalski had become an assistant hairdresser when he moved to London. He had four mistresses, three of which he killed via poisoning, which he was executed for. Aberline had never considered Chapman as a suspect until after the trial, as he learned about the coincidences between the two series of murderers. For starters, Chapman had surgical background, and he had moved to England right when the Jack the Ripper murder started. So basically, just a few days before it started, Chapman came onto England. Yeah, and then he had actually been lodging at George Yard, which is where the first murder was cited. And the murders also ceased when Chapman went to America. And then when he got to America, similar murders had started to happen there. And that's about all the evidence that we have there. These could all just be a coincidence, though. I don't know why a murderer who really liked to mutilate bodies would suddenly turn to poisoning, but yeah, these could all be coincidences.
New country, new murderer, new
yeah.
me, you know?
I mean, he went to America, continued I think
murdering.
Like Jack the Ripper murder type murders, and then he went back to London and then killed off his three of his mistresses.
But why would you? It doesn't coincide, I think, with Jack, because that's people he knew.
Yeah.
But it does fit the bill for it being a foreigner and all of that.
Yeah.
And his name is Chapman, so maybe he has a mustache.
Oh yeah, no, this guy's kind of famous because of the murdering three of his like infamous. Yeah.
Like, how do you mess up that badly when you seem to? I don't know. It just doesn't seem sound. But you know, we're all over the place here anyway, so why not?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we have our favorite suspect of the media at the time, which was Thomas Catbush. The Sun newspaper printed a series of articles in 1894 suggesting that Thomas Catbush was the killer. However, Melville MacNaughton, who was one of the police inspectors we mentioned earlier, he quickly refuted these claims, and as a result, most people believed McCotton, so like it wasn't really looked that much into. But later, we find out that both sides were wrong in their assumptions about Thomas Catbush, as we have files on Thomas and his asylum records. And Catbush, according to the files, was considered mentally ill, which was hereditary from his aunt, and was considered a danger to others as well. Though there is no real proof that he was the killer past that.
And then once again, leaning on the crutch of mental health, and I don't really put any stake into it. You know, even the being a danger to others, like I feel like how many women were put in asylums because they were like hysterical and yelling, but then like the husband's like, oh, I fear she's a danger to others. You know?
Oh yeah.
But still, Yeah.
I know, but like with their assumptions of like asylums and people in asylums and stuff like that, I don't know why they're letting them do anything if they're like thinking it's that bad.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because like these people like are very much like to some extent like exaggerating some people's like issues.
Yeah, it's like a witch hunt. I think this is what this is.
Yeah. No, so basically, both the media and Melville were like publicizing like wrong information about this guy, and that's about it. That's the entire thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, our next suspect is a favorite by Inspector Littlechild, who was the head of the Irish branch of police at the time, and his favorite suspect was Dr. Francis Tumblety, who has recently been more talked about lately as of today. So Francis Tumblety was an Irish-born American medical quack who pushed Indian herbs in America and gained a small fortune from it. Apparently, Tumblety had taken up residence in Whitechapel during the period that the murders were happening, and in November of 1888, he was charged with gross indecency as he was caught engaging in homosexual activities, which was illegal in England at the time. After getting bailed out of jail, he apparently fled to France, as he knew Scotland Yard was suspicious of him for the recent murders, and by the 24th, he was back in the United States. He also was apparently extremely misogynistic. Yeah. So we have this man just being a
misogynist.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, why run if you didn't do it?
Yeah.
But
he was also one of those first like herbal doctors, like everything can be solved with herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are those called? Never mind.
There's like a very specific doctor that like rejects modern medicine, and I think that was him. I think he was the first. Yeah. And I think those people.
He's a trendsetter.
I think those people. You know, I understand where they're coming from, not wanting medicine and stuff. Yeah, holistic medicines. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, he was the first holistic medicine person, or at least one of the first. I don't know if he was the first, but he was definitely ahead of his time. And he was I don't know. I don't think holistic medicines are the way. And yeah, I think
he sure did.
You know, medicine might not have been that great back then, but I'm pretty sure it was better than whatever he was pushing.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah,
listen.
yeah. As for him fleeing the country because Scotland Yard might have been suspicious of him, I mean, he might have just been, like, scared that he would have got put in jail for something he didn't do, so I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always that chance. Like, I don't think it's necessarily suspicious.
Yeah, they're trying, like, if they're trying really hard to, like, put this on somebody so that everybody can cool it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that is a problem that happens with many of these cases. They tend to just look for someone to pin it on after a while. But now, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I think about some of these. I have no thoughts. Anyways, on to this next one. This is an interesting one. In 1992, a man named Michael Barrett claimed that he had a journal of Jack the Ripper. Reading the journal, you can place the author as James Maybrick from the details within it. James Maybrick was a cotton merchant in Liverpool who died in May of 1889, as his wife Florence murdered him by poisoning him with arsenic. In the journal, the author claims to have seen his wife with her unnamed lover in the Whitechapel district and called her the bitch and the whore throughout the journal. Because of this infidelity, the author claims he killed... God damn it. Because of this infidelity, the author claims that he killed 5 prostitutes out of anger. The journal goes into great detail about the murders before ending with the ending line, "I gave my name that all know of me. So history do tell what love can do to a gentleman born. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper.
Okay, the writing of that is so sus. Also, you know, I'm not applauding murder, but you know, maybe Florence had something. Okay.
Yeah. Just wait. I'll get on to it.
Okay.
It's not in there, but I do plan to get into it.
Yes.
So basically, Maybrick was never considered a suspect until this journal was uncovered. Whether the journal is real or not is under scrutiny, as forensics done on the diary have contradictory results. So some of it says that it could be from that time period, some of it says it couldn't be from that time period. Who knows? On top of that, Michael Barrett claims that he forged the journal and then retracted the statement. So I don't understand, like, which one is it? But
Did they not just like test the handwritings and stuff?
Yeah, they were testing the journal to see it like multiple times, like with forensic analysis, and like it comes up unclear. They can't tell if it's old or new or what. Like they're trying to think.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, no, this one frustrates the hell out of me. But if what is being said is true, and this man actually was just angry at his wife for the infidelity, and he was calling her a bitch and a whore, maybe it started like spreading into like their normal everyday life, and she felt like he was mad at her and like he was gonna kill her. Like she had that gut feeling. Maybe she killed him because she was like, it ain't gonna be me next, bitch. It ain't gonna be me next. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe she found the journal.
Yeah, and then for some reason this guy is recanting that it's, you know, this dude's journal and that he forged it because for why?
Like, I don't know. That's my thing. Like, I don't think this journal is real just because he put out the statement that he forged it. I don't understand why you would do that and then like take it back. Like you don't just take that back, my guy. You can't just claim. Yeah, exactly.
The guy's already dead too. So
you can't take back the idea that you forged the journal, in my opinion. So I think it's fake. I think the journal is like fake and this man just made it up. But if it is real, I think girl just like she felt it. She felt her man was on a rampage and she had to end it.
It's like it's almost like too clean if it is the proper journal of Jack.
Oh yeah, no, it does.
Something stinky.
Yeah, something is stinky. But the writing there, that crazy ass writing, whoever wrote that, like if they forged it, they definitely read the letters, because
honestly,
it's not spelt as incorrectly as Jack the Ripper would have spelt it, but it has some of the general feel of a Jack the Ripper letter.
Yeah, and I hate that.
Yeah, so do I. Okay, so finally, this is our final suspect. We're on to the last one. Our final suspect comes from a theory by TikToker Kiki Sure, I think is how you say the last name. So
sounds about right.
Our last suspect is Degas.
Well, yes, we're here.
Degas
we
was
made it.
So yeah, Degas was in his early 50s during the murders, and he was also starting to really hate women, being super misogynistic. Degas had Steigart's disease, which was making Degas blind, and psychopaths tend to have a dead spot behind their brain, right behind their eyes, which is, according to the little I looked up, Steigart's disease can actually do that. They can actually make the gray matter go black behind your eye, so they can have that same dead spot as psychopaths. Not that every person who has Stargardt's disease is a psychopath, just to put that out there, but it can affect that part of the brain. Even though Degas lived in France, as you can probably tell from how much France has been mentioned so far, France really isn't that much of a trip from England, and Degas was known to visit London. Funnily enough, he is actually friends with another suspect that we previously mentioned, which is Walter Sickert. So maybe he was just Degas' accomplice, as it is suggested by those authors. Yeah, my boy. Yeah, so some crime authors suggest that he was an accomplice to Jack the Ripper. So going off of that theory, since him and Degas did actually know each other, like him and Degas like actually hung out and knew each other and were good friends. There's a chance maybe he was accompanying Degas on his late night rendezvous with prostitutes.
Yeah, and even if this was like a solo mission by Degas, it is, I don't know, this one tickles me so much because artists love art. I mean, we both arts, to be honest, but like it's so, like I googled his paintings when you started this segment just to like refresh and like I think I remember from that TikToker, she was talking about how many ballerinas were like, they did side work as like sex workers.
Yeah. I have it written down. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Sorry.
Yeah, no, continue though.
But I think one thing you don't have here is like, I'm just looking at a bunch of pictures of ballerinas right now, and they all have little choker like neckties.
Yes.
Are you gonna get into this? Okay.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's technically a part of the theory. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's part of why the theory came up to begin with.
Yeah, it's so like,
it's eerie looking. It's eerie looking.
Yeah, it's so eerie, but I even forgot about this, and I looked at the like Google images for his paintings, and it's so prevalent, like in every painting. Oh
yeah, no, it's super prevalent.
Yeah.
So to continue, past Walter possibly being Degas' little accomplice, during two of the murders, Degas was actually on vacation in southern France, but Skier, I'm sorry, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, noted that at this time he was sending letter after letter to all his famous friends, including people he didn't really write to before, which is a bit odd. And these letters were written in the amount of letters written in this 2 to 3 week span actually added up to more than Degas had ever written in the 5 years before and the 5 years after that vacation.
Sus.
Yeah. So Skier wonders if he had set this up as an alibi for himself and sent out a bunch of letters prior to making his way to London from southern France. Also, because Degas was an artist, he had some anatomical knowledge and probably had even been part of multiple dissections, like he had watched multiple dissections, as it was common for artists to participate in them, to learn more about anatomy. Which would work well for the Jack the Ripper profile, as he had anatomical knowledge, but he didn't really have the handiwork to be a surgeon. He was also known to be obsessive about knowing exactly how the body works, and he considered women similar to toys. He really just wanted to know how they worked. So him dissecting women wouldn't be surprising at all. It's also speculated that when the killer killed Mary Jane Kelly, that he had stayed in the room for about 2 hours before leaving. This would be interesting because that's about when rigor mortis would set in. So this would work well with the idea that Degas is the killer, because it would give him the chance to play with the body and see how it moves up until rigor mortis would set in, and then he would have no interest in that body anymore.
And the way she was splayed out with all of her, insides on the outsides, it, to me, it just rings true with the whole some guy trying to figure out what's this mess about, just exploring.
It gives a feel of a child taking apart their toy to put it back together again.
Ugh.
Like how some children do.
I'm looking at the statue, but I will wait.
Yeah. No, but this theory is actually really interesting from
it's so
Skier. It's very interesting.
And I don't really honestly subscribe to it, but it's such a key fitting a hole here.
Yeah, no, it's such an interesting theory, even though it might not be real. It probably isn't real. It's just such an interesting one because it fits so well, like you said.
Yeah.
So where was I? So the killer had also left graffiti in chalk at the scene of Catherine Eddowes' murder, which had read, "The Jews," I'll get back to this. "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing, which is not normal English syntax. And on top of that, Jews was spelled Juwes instead of Jews. But both the syntax and the spelling are more in line with a French speaker like Degas rather than an English speaker.
And it kind of fits the bill for all of the misspelled words in the previous letters, too.
Oh, yeah. And how they're written out, like the syntax of all of them.
This is creepy.
Yeah, no. The more I, like, looked into this, like, stuff, and then I was, like, writing the Degas theory out from the TikTok video, I was like, damn, I think she's onto something, whether she knows it or not.
She knows it.
No,
it's so good. It's so
it's
clever.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I like this one. Okay, so Degas was also an artist that used pastels in his work, which explains why the killer actually had chalk on him. Because I don't think people just carry around chalk for no reason, unless they're an artist who would use the chalk.
I have purchased really nice pastels when I was doing a pastel phase, and chalk as the underdrawing was like so peak. It's so solid because it like erases easily, and you can easily put pastels over that substance.
Oh yeah. No, it makes complete sense that a pastel like artist would just be randomly carrying around chalk and be able to write this out.
Yeah.
So
it tingles. It's such an exciting theory.
Yeah. On top of all of this, Degas was an anti-Semite, so him trying to point the murders on Jews wouldn't be out of line for him. Yeah. As most people were, just absolutely racist.
Thanks
and
for being
despicable.
The worst. Thank you.
Yeah. So Sker also points out that Degas' choice in art and Jack the Ripper's MO line up because they both focus on prostitutes, as ballerinas at the time were assumed to be prostitutes. And I just kind of wanted to note that his artwork is a bit creepier, like on the creepier side, especially since there are like black figures just lurking in the background for some reason. And like you don't know what they want from the ballerinas, and there's one with like a man like up against the door, not letting the ballerina out. And like Kat had mentioned previously with the necklace, it's on the neck, and their throats are cut. Like there's just so much in his art that's just like a little creepy.
Wait, that one that you just mentioned with the man blocking the door, he's sitting in a chair with the chair backwards, like how a cool dude would sit in a chair, like a chair to talk to his son. And he's like the only man in the room wearing a top hat, and he's like vigilant. And then there's a room of ballerinas, and then there's two other guys that you can see besides the man blocking the door. And then there's one ballerina who literally looks like she's having an O face. I just wanted to put that out there, like, you know, it's very sensual.
It's his art's creepy. Like I'm not even gonna disagree here. Even like the person who originally posted the TikTok was like, his work is creepy, and that's why I like came up with this theory, was because his work is creepy. And then she kind of started looking into it, and then everything kind of lined up, and she was like, oh, So yeah. Anyways, Sker even goes as far to suggest that perhaps Degas put organs that he stole as Jack the Ripper into his wax sculptures, as it said that organic material can be found inside of them. Though I would like to mention that I think organic materials means things like cotton and leaves that were like put in there and not organs, but like, you never know.
Be anything, I think, is what they're trying to say here.
Yeah,
like, we don't know. Like it could be wax.
Because like I looked into what like art would consider as like organic materials, because I actually looked into it, and like they would consider cotton and string and stuff like that to be organic. So we're not sure, but it could be, especially since organs were at the time put in wax to be preserved. So yeah, that's how that theory goes.
Nightmare fuel.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I think this theory is super interesting, and I know that this girl is even going as far to buy like more books into it to like look even more into like her theory. And I know that she's like finding more things that are like lining up for her ideas. That it might be Degas. And you know what?
So we can expect more.
Oh yeah, no, there's more TikToks on it. I kind of looked through some of them. I decided not to report on everything because like you guys should just go watch the TikTok because like it's her theory, honestly. Not mine.
But yeah, subscribe to it.
But I wanted to mention it because it was such a cool theory, and I think his artwork is creepy at the very least. So I mean, it's worth looking into.
Yeah, definitely pull up the artwork.
Lots of coinky dinks. I'm gonna edit it in. I'm gonna edit some artwork in.
Cool.
In editing. So we'll have some visuals above Kat's little picture here. But yeah, we'll have some visual. But yeah, that's all of our suspects that we have for today, and that is all the information on the killings that I prepared for us today. That's everything.
And yes. Feels and it feels now that we're at the end of it like we've not gotten anywhere.
Anything.
Because, yeah. It was circles and theories and fingers and witch huntery.
Yeah, no. The Jack the Ripper case really just does feel like a witch hunt. Yeah. Like a wild goose chase, even. Like, it feels like you're just kind of pointing fingers at whoever and being like, yeah, it's you. It's like, yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, some investigators just, like, put a bunch of names in a hat, juggled it up, and picked some. And they're like, yeah, okay, let's look into them.
So, what do you subscribe to mostly? I know you mentioned it earlier, but let's circle back.
Okay, mostly just because of there being DNA in the case, I would say I mostly subscribe to the Aaron Kowalski theory, but I do like the idea of Degas just because, like, even in my own research, like, this wasn't presented to me via, like, the TikTok or anything. I saw that him and William Circuit were, like, friends. And I thought that was just even more interesting that, like, a suspect was friends with, like, TikTok theory, you know?
And they're both, like, painters, and then your boy painted, like, a crime scene.
Yeah, he also painted a crime scene, you know? I like my little theory that him and, like, Degas and William were just, like, buddy murderers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Cross is, like, my third favorite.
I think Cross is my first favorite. Because to me, I like to go with the simple, and he could have just self-reported, like, you know?
Yeah.
No,
I
understand. And then the whole, like, not propping the body up, not wanting to touch it, like, that's too smart. But at the same time, the self-reporting seems like just like he didn't mean to be there, but like somebody saw him, so he has to.
Yeah.
You know, and we've all played that game. I have cried during said game. But once again, also Degas is just a fun. It's like such a key theory. I can't never not think about it again.
Yeah,
it's gonna live rent free.
It's like the most likely to me is the DNA evidence with Aaron, and then like the most interesting to me I think would be like Degas and like William being his little butt buddy, and then my last, like the last one I would choose would probably be like, just for simplicity's sake, would be Cross, just because like I think that's like so simple and it makes so much sense that like the murderer should have been in the area, you know? So the murderer being the one to be like, hey, you want to look at this body here? Ahaha, I had nothing to do with it. Ahaha.
And it being, what, the second? Was she the second victim with Cross, right?
No, that was the first one. It was his first murder, so he fumbled the bag a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe.
Okay, so that's what I was going to go, where I was going to go next. Okay, so
that was the
my
first
first is Cross, and I'm gonna say honestly my second is Degas, and my third is the DNA evidence.
Okay, so we'll have like the same three, like, but they're just a different order.
I just like feel DNA, especially that old and on a probable garment of clothing that might not even be theirs, is kind of sus, but also just it being so old. I don't
Oh
really
yeah, no, I get it. I
my
get
faith
it.
there.
I'm just putting it there because I'm just like I would rather just like deal with the hard evidence rather than like
Right.
suppose
No, I
it. You
get
know?
it. Trust me.
Yeah, yeah.
I get it so much. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not.
that's my idea.
We're all probably wrong.
Oh yeah, no. This
Holmes.
person's
HA.
probably like chuckling to themselves in listening to this. Like teehee.
Oh, no, they're still
he's
alive.
probably
They're a
he's,
vampire.
he's probably his ghost is just writing a letter to us right now. And it
Can I have
says
a
like
side?
ha ha.
No.
And it has ha ha written all over it. They're like ha ha, they think I'm Degas. Ha ha.
Wait. No, but can it be a vampire instead? Because like vampire TikTok is popping off. I don't know if you've seen that. Sidebar.
Yeah, he's in
Vampire
his
TikTok is
vampire coffin watching this YouTube video right now being like, these idiots, they think I'm Degas. Ha ha.
But if he was a vampire,
Gives me
he
a
would have known
laugh.
how to write in blood. You know, he wouldn't have fumbled the bag there.
Yeah, that's true. He wouldn't have fumbled the bag there, honestly.
Maybe he became a vampire later. Okay, that's my theory. I'm subscribing.
He's a vampire now.
Okay. Where did
Oh
we
yeah,
go from
he
here?
became
What
a
did we do?
vampire and then he decided to become the fucking Cleveland torso murderer, and then he went to
Can he also be the
California
axe
and was like, I'm
murderer?
gonna be the Zodiac killer, and then he was the axe murderer.
Mhm.
And then he killed the Black Dahlia too. He's just doing
We're
everything.
you're gonna need to make another video on this string of one-man murders.
Yeah, totally.
Axe,
One man.
torso.
Oh,
Yeah,
One
man theory.
man.
That is actually for the axe murder cases back in like the Depression.
Mhm.
There is a theory for like one man theory, but it's just like that's too simple and cut and dry and like I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
What do we do?
I think this is about the time where we're like, thank you for watching, you know? And please
Yeah.
subscribe. That would make
You're
me
welcome.
super happy. If you would subscribe and give it a like, please. Please, I'm desperate.
Yes. Yes. So you can get the notifications for these hot
Yeah.
off the takes videos. So
Yeah.
you can have your brains further scrambled and
Yeah.
you're welcome for the brain rot.
Yeah, we could even have Kat as a guest again. Like, what do you guys like to have Kat as a guest again? You can comment
love
below
that.
if you want Kat back. You
We're
better want her back.
professional yappers.
Yeah, we're professional yappy yaps.
Yeah, please get up in those comments if you
Yeah,
want me back.
yeah.
And maybe like, you know, if you wanna personally like put in a little comment on like what murders or mysteries or cryptids you want to hear us talk about.
On God.
You know, like a good one for both of us to yap about for 3
for
hours. now?
real.
I haven't been timing this.
We're at 2 hours and 37
So on CatVideos.
Yeah, this is CatVideos. She has a Twitch. You should totally follow it. It's CatVideos on Twitch. You guys should follow her.
Yep.
She does art. She's cool. She's epic.
Yep, and you guys should subscribe to Pazuru.
On God. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. It's probably gonna be 2 hours long because I'm not gonna do that much editing
Yes.
over this. Like, I'm not gonna cut it down or anything. I'm just gonna let us ramble.
This is gonna be a hard listen for me, just to hearing my own voice.
Oh, trust me, it's a hard listen to myself while I'm editing this. I'm just like, this dumb bitch. Why is she talking so much?
All right. Well, good luck.
Oh, God bless. You know, I just kind of looked at my thing, hoping to God I caught all the audio.
We have to
No.
re-record.
No. I got all the audio. I'm pretty sure. I'm looking at it, and it's all lighting up correctly. So we're good. I didn't fuck up. You know, I didn't think to look.
Or leave it all in.
Yeah, hopefully.
You guys vote in the comments. Do you want this to be cut out or left in? Oh wait, they won't.
Anyways, yeah, so please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I love you all. GGs. And yeah, maybe you tell me who you think Jack the Ripper is in the comments on top of if you want
And
Cat back.
why.
Yeah. So that's it.
Mhm.
All of you have a good one. Stay safe, and I'll see you in
Rest
the
in
next
peace.
one. Bye.
Bye.